it goes. And go back. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see.
I love how every week our shows are you and me talking about, are we live? Is this live? What's
That's the
going
way it
on?
works here.
And everybody in the
That's what
chats is like, you're live.
I that's what I was saying on one of the shows earlier. I was doing that. Are we live? Let me tag you. I thought, I've thought about trying to be professional like all these other podcasts where they have the intro and they have
Why
this and that.
start now?
I know. I'm like, you know what, man? I mean, it's no, he's still not. He's still not. He's still declining.
He is.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's not answering my calls either. Well, we can keep talking.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we are live, and I'm going to go ahead
Yep.
and get this thing going. Just make sure everything is on. Okay. Yeah, we're on. All right. Yeah, so it's what? December the 16th in the northern hemisphere, December 17th in the southern hemisphere. We are in the slap dab in the middle of this solstice corridor, which has been a monster, you know. It's been an absolute monster. Gareth, if you can heal me.
Heal me, please,
Hear me,
God.
hear me. You can, if you can hear me, click accepting promote to panelists. Mm. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know about you, but it's been a hell of a ride. I mean, for me, it started around the 8th of December, 7th of December, and just really kicked everything up into gear. And
Right?
man, it's been wild. I've had a little bit of a relief the last 24 to 36 hours, but man, my face, ever since about 2013, 2014, when these energies will come in, um, I would get like this circle in my forehead where my third eye is, and it would
Yeah.
just peel, it would just burn off. And so it's happened to me over and over again over the years, but over the last few days, it's gotten bigger than it's ever gotten. It's gone up into my scalp about like that. It's gone all the way to the edges and down below the bridge of my nose into my eyebrows. I mean, so
God, that's wild.
there's some serious energy going through our bodies. And these seem to be the level of dehydration or burn seems to be predicated or connected to the intensity or acuteness of my lucid dreams, which have always been a real big factor for me. I mean, everybody's different, but my lucid dreams have always been a very big part of my how I receive things. Oh, here he comes. How I receive things and how I'm able to translate them for myself anyway.
All right.
But yeah, they've been wild, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at
Hey,
you
Gareth.
dropping the ball, Gareth. What's going on?
Oh, I
Mr.
had to
Five
eat
minutes late.
something.
I
Oh,
had
you
to
had to
eat too.
eat.
I was like,
And I had to banish me to another room. I was making so much noise.
don't get me started.
So we're in the middle of this corridor. I'm anxious to see how this show goes and what you guys come up with. Yeah, obviously, people are really enjoying this as I go through and kind of, cover the bases. Oh, did he leave?
I didn't know he didn't leave. He just turned his
No,
camera
Oh,
off.
I see.
sorry
Uh,
about that. I just had to
no, no,
pull the blind down a bit. It was,
no. But I've noticed, people are clicking. I think it's a good combination because there's a good organic and galactic, or however you want to put that, multidimensional. Everything
Mm,
seems to be represented. People are resonating with one or the other or both. So it's a good combination. And like I said, every week very happy to facilitate it. And we've got a tremendous lineup over the next 7 days into y'all's next show. So we'll see how that goes. And you guys have a great show. I'll be in the
thank you.
background loading up the posts for the new shows and listening. So
Okay.
thank you very much for showing up. It's good to see y'all
Thank you for
again.
having the
thank you.
space for us.
Yep, thanks,
Absolutely,
Todd.
100%. Let me just hand over the host thing, and I
Why is it
will
always got to go to the guy? I'm
make.
kidding. I'm kidding. It can go to Gareth. I don't
Oh,
want,
okay. Oh,
I
okay, go
do
to you.
not need that mantle.
All right. You guys have a great show. I'll be listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, Todd. See you, man.
What are you going to talk about? We've been talking for like 2 hours already, 3 hours.
All right.
Thanks for keeping me on the planet for another day.
Oh, you're welcome. I like having you on the planet.
Thank you.
So do a lot of people, Katie.
Thank you, thank you,
Yes. You bring a lot of color and light.
thank you.
I guess
What? I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking
Yeah, there's light, color and light everywhere.
about?
And you always get back what you put in.
I know you tell me that. We've talked about that before, that the depth that you can feel, the depth that you can suffer, the depth of your despair will be matched and then some with the joy, with your capacity for joy and exuberance and excitement and love of life.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm ready for
There's-
that. Thanks.
yeah, so I'm sure a lot of people are. Hang on a minute. What was that?
There
Oh,
he
thanks.
goes. And he's gone.
There's my wife.
Oh, everyone's doing that.
She's saying hello.
Hi, Arna. How
Hi.
are you? You're live on YouTube right now.
Okay, good. Thanks for letting me know.
Twin flames
Twin flames in stereo.
in Mickey Mouse hair.
She's so cute.
Love her Mickey Mouse hair.
It's going to be warm today.
Oh,
Nice and warm.
Hot.
Extra hot.
yeah, he told me last week you had some like off the charts hot. I couldn't. Ugh.
We also had off the charts cold.
Weird, yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's what's making it worth mentioning. Like we
right.
had the first day of summer and it snowed in some places in Australia.
So
In
is
Australia.
that weather manipulation, Gareth?
It's got to be.
It's gotta be, right?
It's
weird.
they said it hasn't happened like that since the mid-90s.
Wow. Whoa,
So,
maybe 1997.
Or 95,
yeah,
93
it was
was
around then, exactly mid-90s, so whatever.
94. That's when I asked for help. Wow.
Yep. Yep.
There's a
No
lot, which is
mistakes.
exactly 30 years ago. So there's a lot of similarities, and you think that's a generation. That's what I keep
Yeah.
thinking, because our kids, they just don't have that point of reference.
No.
But we're like, yeah, but when we were, I keep thinking when I was your age, it was a bit similar. When I was your age, it was a bit similar. Oh,
I I see those memes of like when I was your age, and I'm always thinking it's like the 90s. No, the 70s. Like I might have flip-flopped it, but you know what I mean? It just always like when you hear 30 years ago, you're like, oh yeah, 19, 70 something. No, that was
No.
1990.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
It was nearly this century.
That brings it home.
Nearly this
Like you guys,
century. Stop it, Arna. Stop dating it.
I know.
It's
The other
okay.
kind of dating.
I know.
I
It's the
haven't heard
only
of it
kind
put
of
that way,
dating I've
but
had for a decade, so I'll take it. Didn't
are
mean
you
to
waiting
interrupt
to
you.
be are you waiting to be let into a room or something?
No, we're
No,
live on YouTube
we're
right now.
live on the show. You're live.
You're on the show right now.
Oh, you mean live?
Live.
Hi everyone. I'm not very techie. I stay away and I have done since 30 years ago.
I'm so glad you came in and said hi, Arna.
No, actually I did. I resisted Facebook when it first came out because I was working with students who didn't understand safety parameters. So I said, look, I'll take the opposing view and I won't go full force into it, sharing myself online with no privacy settings and so on. Yeah.
And so you did.
So I didn't ever
Okay.
get on
Okay.
Facebook and I navigated the social mores of that. And here we are.
I
At this point, it's
had
like,
I think I'm kind of the opposite. I had Facebook for at least 13 years and I had like thousands of friends, most work and everything. It wasn't like it is now, like influencers and stuff then, but I think it was 5 or 6 years ago when I first began to fall apart, I deactivated it. So by the flick of, a switch, I could have my Facebook back, but the very idea skeeves me out. It felt so ick. It did not feel good. Instagram feels safer to me.
Same.
yeah, well, this was back when in education, they there was actually like principals getting sacked because there was photos of kids' parties on their Facebook, and they're saying, well, you must have put them there. And he's saying, no, I've been hacked. And they're saying, it's not possible to be hacked. And as teachers, we're like, well, we get hacked all the time. The students just hack us to ask if they have to do the homework. Of course. And the education system was going, no, it's not possible. That was 2011. So,
Yep.
oh,
Yep.
don't get me started.
Ah,
Yes.
no, I love it. Nice to see
Bye.
you.
See you, Andy.
He's so cute. Oh my God, what a great intro to our show.
Right?
I love that.
Who'd have thought?
Now what do we do with the uncomfortable silences? No, I'm kidding. We don't have those. We'll just not
Andy's
talk.
she's very reserved about when she puts herself out there. So,
Yeah, that was a treat.
well,
I've been
yeah, sure.
that was a treat. I've been talking to her
Sure.
husband for over 3 years, and I don't know, that's probably number 10 of hanging with Larna. 10 or 12 in 3 years. She is
Yes,
reserved. Yep. Very careful with her energy. I don't blame her.
very good. Well, she's been going through very intense internal
Oh,
and the study and all that. So,
Todd just said we should get that dynamic couple on an episode. Meaning
yeah.
I go and you two go.
Yeah, wow. Look, that day's coming, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that day's coming.
Yeah. We'll just
I-
we'll just not talk about that. It's out in the universe. We've said it. Can revisit that in a year or two.
That's it, yeah. And I doubt I'll get a word in when.
What are you laughing at? What are you laughing
I
at?
just threw that in there, doubt I'll get a word in. It'll be Anna
Oh,
and I, and
oh yeah.
I'll be,
Yeah,
but yeah, we've been debriefing a bit about the last 30 years together as well, which has been incredible.
yeah.
Like what we've lived through together, and she's insanely psychic. Like the whole time I've known her,
Yeah.
basically I read off a lot of sort of this sort of golden thread process we've lived through. I read where we're at from her, the way she
Canary in the coal
operates.
mine. Canary in
Yeah,
the
and
coal mine.
yeah,
Yeah.
her particular sort of the way her version of the 5D connection works and how she expresses it connects with mine really amazingly. And so, yeah, we've been debriefing about everything we've lived through for the last year and a half, which is great.
My friend Eliza's watching the show today, which is super cool. Oh, and there's Sam. Sam's here.
Hey,
It's
Sam.
Stacy. Oh my goodness. This
Wow.
is like so many, and Donna. Oh, so many of my favorite people. Get out of here.
Gee, hello.
Well, Stacy and Eliza are moderators, I think, on a couple of things I watch. Alpha Vedic live on Thursdays, and Eliza and I met at Confluence, and Stacy and I have the bubble guns. You know, my bubble gun.
Yeah.
This thing. I think I did it on the show once before. This thing. It takes a minute, but it's coming. I promise.
It's coming, all right.
Oh, there we go.
There
There
you
we
go.
go. So
Bubble
anyway,
flower.
yeah. So Eliza and I met at Confluence, and Stacy and I were at Confluence, but we did not meet one another.
Till
So
later.
yeah.
Well, hi, everyone. Good to have you here.
Oh, and
And
Lindsay, of course. And Lindsay actually gave me a question. I don't know if you want. Hey, stop reading the chats, mister. You can do that later. Um,
hey, look, absolutely. Yeah.
um, but Lindsay's so sweet. She sent me a song and said, I love this song. Maybe this can ground you before the show. You're going to do great and love you, and very sweet.
That's nice.
Yeah, but she asked, what, like some spiritual teachers talk about the false light, like the light at the end of the tunnel or the light. And like, it's they tricking us back into incarnating again. What do you think about that?
Right. How do I interpret that? Gee, the false light. Well, you could call it the light of hope, I guess you could say. And
I would
it's
say everybody thinks that light, that bright light is, joyous and wonderful, but when I think about it, I remember basically what you said to me, reincarnation is not our natural state. It was, in fact, weaponized to keep us in this density, in this lower
mm,
frequency, like looping,
mm,
right?
yeah, it's an
Yeah.
inversion of, I mean, we incarnate into bodies, body, mind, like what God called a light space vehicle, on different planets. Like as a soul, we move through a process, kind of like the way you do when you're born into a life. You move through a process of evolving and refining and becoming more aware, and then that experiences come to an end. You leave the vehicle and debrief, and then step into another one. So reincarnation on one planet was a product of what God called the bottlenecking of souls, and that's through karma, where we, instead of living life about bringing polarity into unity, or experiencing that two separate things are connected and they unify. So you keep on moving through the unity of you and everything you're experiencing, for instance, is an example of that. And then what you're seeing in front of you, you take away the filter of fear and doubt and all of that. And it's just the process that everything is one being shown to you and lived through. So there's no problem with it. But when you bring fear in and control, you can create damage and imbalance. So you're creating a debt that has to be repaid. You create
And
an
that's
imbalance.
generational trauma.
Generational trauma is designed to keep us stuck. That's why Hellinger's work, the family system constellation workshops, modality, healing modality is a one of the four cardinal directions, or putting everything back around the right way. Yeah, it's to get that out of the family system, the imbalance. And if the human race, the dynamics of family systems work in the same way as the human race as a whole, too. So that karmic debt, um, is something that humanity as a race has to deal with, the whole thing behind it. Um, so that gets back to our responsibility for being co-creators in the inversion.
Right, right. Stacy just made a really interesting comment. I heard David Icke say, stop striving for high vibe. You want low vibe. It's where calm is. High vibe is, and she's paraphrasing, the like Monsters Inc., where there's more energy to loosh. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, this gets back to the false light. See, what I was just describing, this bottlenecking of souls. We want a savior. We want something to take us out of it. So we create things in the future that we can cling, that we can put that onto, um, which of course doesn't work, because the real problem we're in the reason we're in the situation is because we believe a lie. There's a falsehood running us. So the situation won't change until we see through the falsehood to the truth, which is we're perfectly fine as we are.
Right,
We have no need to be anyone or do anything. In fact, that's the problem. That so that any solution we put out there to save us from the ramifications of that problem don't work. They reinforce it. So it's a false lie. But
right.
it keeps us with the feeling that we're moving towards something or away from something. And that's again the problem.
Right, right. We're always trying to get to something or run from something
That
instead of just
isn't
being right.
that isn't what we're trying to get away from. And we- we're not even conscious of it in those terms necessarily. But ultimately, that's what religion was spun around. The Nazarene was a savior. That's not the reality of the Nazarene. He was simply he was simply showing us the reality of what happens when you stop believing the lie. This is
Yep,
who you really are. That's got nothing to human nature. That's not who you are. You insist you have a human nature, God said. So the real light is faith, trust. So
yep.
the real way to deal with this, problem that we're in is the way God put it, give it all to us and have faith in yourself and us that it will be resolved, which
I
means you
love
don't
that.
know. Yeah.
You can't know.
You
We
can't know
can
what
know.
that,
They can. God knows.
God, we can't know what the solution looks like because we don't know what the problem is. But we know we have a problem that we have to solve because we can't keep living this way. So when you're in that, now you're open to the truth being something you've never seen before. As soon as you recognize that, it's all over. But you can't recognize the healing process until afterwards.
Right.
That's why no one does it. But again, the
Well, yeah,
transition
because
to
we've been kind of entrained to want solutions and fixes and
Mm,
now.
yeah.
Like it's why as I've been in this sadness for all of these years, I'm sitting in it and I look bonkers to my non-awake, aware on the path friends, or at least consciously, everyone's on the path, but consciously, I look crazy. Stop that. You put that down. I see
Yeah,
what you're
sorry.
doing.
I just had something happen that but I'm
Are you
listening. Yeah,
are you
yeah.
okay?
Yeah, yeah. Just give
Okay.
me one sec.
Okay.
No, it's all right.
So
Yeah,
I was just saying, so the most doingest thing we can do is the non-doing. But that goes against the grain of everything we've been taught because keeping us in this loop, this fraught, chaotic loop keeps us from source, keeps us from ourselves, keeps us from the flow of life, which is exactly by design.
mm, that's it. Yeah, so getting back. First, you got to hit the wall. Like I've got a problem. I don't know what, because that's essentially what you're recognizing, even though you don't have the words, is that you've been dealing with life in a way that doesn't work. It's fundamentally the realization of what it is. Basically, the problem we've got is we're living life in an inverse way. We're moving through life in the opposite way to the way life needs us to move to be free.
Right,
So,
but because we don't have an instant answer or instant relief or an instant fix, very few of us do it. Very
yeah,
few of us sit in the pain, in the silence, in the non-doing because it's too uncomfortable. It's nothing
yeah.
we're familiar with.
And we have to move through all the layers of that misguidedness because that's essentially what happens. You move through the subconscious motivation of it. So, you can be at peace with the fact you've got a problem and you need to meet it in one moment and then be completely the opposite the next. And that feels like you're getting nowhere, which is why people don't like sitting in that feeling. We've got to find a solution to the feeling, that
Oh my
feeling.
God.
But therefore, if we're feeling it, we're not solving anything. But that's not actually what's happening.
That's not at all because it's subconscious. You tell me that repeatedly.
Hmm.
Katie, you think you haven't moved an inch, but everything you've done is on the subconscious. Now, Sam just wrote the thing to do now is to feel in all caps. The answers are not outside of us and are to be felt now. The untruth to your spirit and soul as you rise will be intolerable. She's right. You can feel untruth, like you and I were talking about earlier. You
Yeah.
can feel the frequency. It's why I vibe with you like as if I'm right there in Melbourne. I feel your lived experiences through your sharing because you're sharing direct experiences. You can't deny that.
No.
You can't not feel how truthful you are. Whether I'm not saying everybody has to agree with you or your experiences or what you believe or I believe, but you're speaking on your direct experience
Yeah,
and
that's
you
right.
can
So there's an
feel it.
authenticity to it, even though I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
I'm in a process I'm moving through a process, and I'm at a particular point with it where it's okay for me to start sharing it, where I've lived through enough of the undoing that process has put me through where I can start speaking from it. Clearly, I've lived through a process and I haven't understood it fully until I've gone through a certain point, and now I'm starting to put two and two together, and I can speak from that authentically. But it is a way of life, not a destination, too. So it's always evolving. You're always moving through it. But at a certain point, you see it's a process. You connect with your ability to read life, and that life is valuable. Like there's a value to the process. It starts to be conscious in a way that you can only get to by being willing to not see the value of what you're experiencing, but just have trust that it's serving that purpose. You need to go through that process to a certain point before you can start speaking about it. Before then, it's good not to. It's
Right.
good
It's
to
good to
stay in
be,
your
keep it to yourself,
keep it to yourself.
you stay within your
Yeah.
experience because you'll know God will tell you when to speak. You won't be able to not.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a trap because the ego that controls is always trying to reshape itself into the form that will keep it alive.
For
So if you
sure.
start moving through a spiritual process, it's going to reform itself. Um, Now I've got it. I can, you come
Oh
into
yeah.
connection with people who go through the same problem. Now I understand it all, and you sort of you feel in the moment like you're helping them, and you are. There's a role for it to share
Right.
your own experience. But again, that experience of you wanting to speak to other people about what you now know needs to be seen as part of the process of getting clear just as much as anything else.
Exactly. Because the ego is so cunning.
Because yeah, who am I being right now? My need to share this, and maybe it's not being received the way you intend, and uh, you'll frame that a certain way. As long as you've always got the connection, the question, who am I being in this moment? Am I being authentic to the truth of who I am? Or am I coming from the ego that controls? So that part of you that's always looking at everything from your own point of view of being free of something you can't see, trying to discern it is always there. And then anything that serves anyone else comes from that rather than an idea to be someone. And it's very tricky to see the difference. A lot of people get caught up in that in these sorts of channels too.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
it's it's tricky. Um, it's a tricky one to get your head around, except through direct experience. But you can do both as long as your own experience, you coming back to the truth of who you are, is what's happening for you in any given moment. And if it serves someone else, that's their business.
Right.
Getting clear about that, where we stop and other people begin, and what serves that balance point. Getting clear about that it is possible, and it's something that's going to happen for everybody, but it's again a process. You can't come from the imbalance point of view to the balanced one through willpower,
Overnight.
because that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, how do you?
Yeah, it's not overnight. It's not through willpower. It's like we were talking earlier, and I shared with you that what you said put me into a panic because so much of my process since awakening has been grief of the friends and family, perceived loss, grief of Katie, who she was, grief of the life that I didn't have, and I've always held on to, okay, Gareth has always said, 12 to 18 months, not always said, but like this year, like 12 to 18 months, Katie, they're gonna know. And it's like you clarify that even more for me today. But in clarifying it, I felt like I took 10 steps backwards because all you were doing was saying it's going to make what's happening on the planet is going to make the conversations you want to have but can't right now able to be had by everyone who you want to have them with. It doesn't mean the work's done. It doesn't mean everyone forgives each other and floats, skips off with sunshine and rainbows and butterflies.
Right.
Well, except me and Stacy and bubbles and bubbles and a longboat in the UK. And hula hoops.
Yeah.
I can't, she's going to say it in the chat. She's going to say hula hoops, but
Hula hoops.
yeah, Oh, so your clarification was basically what's happening in the 12 to 18 months isn't like the magic button, but in a sense it is the magic button because it makes it doable, brings people to a level where they could hear, I can be received, I can be validated, even though I don't need external validation. You know what I mean? After all of you know what I mean. After all this time of being vilified and maybe abandoned and just, I don't know, neglected and abused, all of it. Like there's going to be a time in the coming 12 to 18 months where all of those who looked at us that way, spoke to us that way, treated us that way, will be able to have the hard conversations that we've all been having with each other all along.
Correct, yeah. And then really all you need for that to happen, as complex as it seems on the outside, is just the exposure that people's perception of reality has been engineered by their control over the flow of information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's that, like I keep saying, COVID is what exposes the fact that they can do that on a global scale to people, everyone on the planet, because everyone's aware of COVID and the narrative around it is collapsing. And the more they try to stop that inevitable domino effect, the more obvious they're making it. So the censorship is now becoming blatant. Because
Yeah.
they're trying to shut down the impact that that's having on the big picture.
Yes, yes. You and I actually this example brought a little more clarity to me in regards to that because I asked you about Bondi Beach. And full disclosure, I did call it Bondi Beach because of Pam Bondi, the politician here in the States. But Bondi Beach and the supposed shooting, and Gareth was talking about it in terms of the immigration and everything. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Did it even happen? And the whole thing is, whether it did or did not, was the narrative that they're spinning and the immigration issue that they've created, all by design. So,
Right.
right. So, so it doesn't even matter if it happened. The narrative is what matters. And even then, if you're detached, if you're observing and not being in, as Paul said, what did he say? Observe but don't absorb. Your right, your awareness. So it doesn't really matter if it happened. But the curious Katie wants to know, did it happen? Or did they just make it up? Like the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Like just like about anything I hear about from, Instagram or whomever. It's like, I don't believe anything that happened. It's all the story. It's all a story.
Yeah, and I mean,
But I don't want to deny suffering and pain if it did happen.
but again, the purpose behind it is to manipulate our perception of reality so that we act in a certain way. So
Yeah.
whatever whatever they're doing at any moment to make that happen is really secondary. It's more about that it's a system designed to control our perception so that we use free will against ourselves. And that's essentially what we've been doing for thousands of years.
Right. Basically what you said about like the United Nations and then in World War II and the pandemic, basically the created problems and then they usher in the solutions, but we've soaked up, we've asked for the solutions and given our free will to them, and all it is just more handcuffs, more control, more centralization of everything.
Of- Yeah, yeah, which again you can see through COVID. I mean, there was the reason COVID played out the way it did was because of their free will. We had to choose a particular outcome, and they were giving us the the raw material to get that to happen the way they want it. And we don't stop and think about the ramifications. We just react. That's the engine, that reactionaryism, instead of just putting the brakes on, hang on a minute, let's stop and think about this decision. It's important we get it right. The ramifications are people just don't do that. We don't stop and think. And that's the only reason this has happened for thousands and thousands of years. That's the exact engine room behind all of it. It's just stop. And to do that, you've got to have a gap. And everything in us is about not having a gap because of the
Yeah.
way we're programmed from childhood. The whole reason we're vulnerable to this conditioning, this mind control conditioning, is because when we were too young, we were made to feel insecure within ourselves and within life. So that runs everything. That feeling, managing that feeling has run everything since then. So that's where the reactionaryism comes from. It touches on that child who doesn't feel safe as they are, and we have to do everything we can to get that feeling dealt with. So we'll run out in the pandemic and buy 500 rolls of toilet paper, something like this reactionaryism that we don't hang on a minute. Why am I doing this really? Now that's what's happening now. We're having to stop and think, hang on a minute, what am I doing? Like
Yeah.
what is happening? So the questions we were never able to ask or never thought to ask, we're being put in a position where we have to now. So the sensitive people, like all of us on this call, have the temerity. Well, we woke up to that reality earlier than people whose personality types, or for whatever reason, they're more able to withstand the tension, the lie, and look like they're succeeding in the world. Some personality types are really good at using this false paradigm to create the illusion of success that counters the illusion, the false idea that they've got to be someone worthy of love. They're really good at that. Some people are really bad at it. The ones who are really bad at it tend to be the ones who are actually a lot closer to the truth, to wisdom, the ability to operate from wisdom. Ironically, it looks the opposite. So
Really bad at
people,
what? Really
well,
bad at,
succeeding in distracting themselves from the idea that they're not right as they are. See, a
oh
doctor
yeah.
who's wildly successful is going to believe the lie a lot more readily than someone who's, no matter what they've tried, they're not getting
Yes.
anywhere.
I shared that with you about my so-called career, 20 years as a publisher and, family-owned publishing. And before that, I worked in various doctor's office and I worked for Blockbuster at one point. I sold Tupperware at one point. I never had any goal as far as career. I wanted kids and lots of them, and I didn't care. And you said maybe that's why, I'm paraphrasing you, but like basically, maybe that's why you are doing this to the degree you're doing this. Like you
Right.
weren't locked into a mold. You weren't always striving to be something or get something. I mean, other than babies in the world. Like you weren't tethered to, accolades and rewards and corner office and, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
So I looked retarded to my sister and whomever, whatever, because it just was never a priority. But in the scheme of things, it was perfect.
yes,
Yeah.
it served you. Yeah. Yeah. And
It's
again, gratitude dissolves pain. I mean, me growing up having this sort of two parallel life thing because of clear sight, and that was very alienating, and it was a lot too, but it gave me a real peace, um, sense of peace about life itself, and that it made it a lot easier on a lot of levels. It's just I had to do it at a time when all of this was just like, how do you explain to someone when you're 15, oh, the whole world's going to go through just get a handle on this insecurity you're trying to sort of can now do it now because at some point you won't be out, blah, blah, blah. I mean, who's going to listen to that
I'm
in
sorry, that's so
1987?
funny.
Yeah, right. The whole world's going to go through a massive inversion reversal process, and it's, you know,
You had
gonna-
all this knowledge back then and couldn't, whoosh, you had to be whoop. Like I had my awakening and I got all of these people in the chats as my family and my support. And I mean, you had your partner, of course, and your children, but I mean, like so many people who were awake decades ago have had to wait for this time now. I
Right.
mean, in the big picture, I don't have to, I didn't have to wait long, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
You,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
again, that's the even though it's intense on a lot of us and we feel like we've failed or we've I don't know, we can't pretend anymore, but what's the solution? It's quite disillusionment and there's a lot of sense of failure involved and negative stuff comes up. As hard as that feels, it's the best thing to happen. And it's a sign that you're actually a lot closer to to coming back into balance than people who aren't going through that, even though it looks like the opposite. Because remember, it's reversing the inversion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you and I have talked about that before. That's why academia, medical, like anybody who did have those accolades and those accomplishments and that corner office and that particular car and that home, like when I first woke up in 2021 and I asked my friend Lori, he and I were walking. I can remember asking him this because he would introduce me to people all over the place. And my first question would be, are they awake? Like I didn't know. Like I didn't know he had been awake so long, like Sam, she knew this was a game from the get-go. He had been awake so long that like he could be friends with anyone comfortably. I all of a sudden overnight could be friends with nobody, including my own child. So it was very weird, but sorry, I'm getting off track. My question to him, because he has some very affluent family and friends, and I said, and who are sound asleep, oblivious to what's happening on the planet. And
Right.
I said, Lori, I said, what's going to happen? What about everybody who has the comfort of finances? What about and homes and more than enough to eat and money for whatever they need? What about them? He's like, nobody is escaping what's happening, Katie. Like,
Mm.
you don't even have to think about what's happening to them. What's happening to you is going to happen to them, is going to happen to them, and so on and so on and so on. That blew my mind, like, because that makes the protections we've all put around ourselves absolutely false. Not that
Yeah.
there's anything to protect ourselves from, but it made it false. And I was like, good, good.
Yeah. Well, and then, and that's the double-edged sword, that the thing, the mechanisms of protection don't work because they're false, but then that means dropping them before you feel free of what you feel like you got to protect yourself from, which is vulnerability. And that's the big problem is you've you can't get past the fear of being vulnerable without letting go of the strategies first. That's the problem. Because uh, the only way to get free of the fear of vulnerability is to meet the fear of vulnerability,
Yeah.
which means being in situations where you're afraid because you feel vulnerable. And
Yeah.
that's counterintuitive. That feels like, but what if it's true that I need to protect myself? Now, look, I'm not, of course, don't go to South America as a woman and walk down any old street because you'll get trafficked. Like there's an element of it, but there's a point where it doesn't serve us. And the only reason that that stuff exists is because of the human race as a whole being in this state. So the only way to really be free of it is to allow yourself to be taken by life through what you need to meet the fear of vulnerability. Because when Ramana said the only way to know fear isn't real is to let it come and get you, that's fundamentally the core fear. Because that's when we're kids, we're vulnerable. We're completely open. And we get put in that situation that makes us feel insecure when we're so vulnerable that's what it hits. That vulnerability to life, being purely open. And as soon as that happens, we start editing ourselves. And that's the very problem that creates everything, comes from that, including the gang members that orphan boys or disaffected kids get brought through a process of being conditioned into a trafficking gang so that they then go out and do this stuff. They
Victim
weren't born that
perpetrator.
way.
They weren't, nobody was
Victims,
born that way.
but I mean, there are perpetrators out there that we need to kind of be aware of without letting that kill us, without letting that kill the humanity within
Man,
us. And that
yes.
again, they've edited out, those of the interference have edited out very successfully and mythologized through religion what being human is, like fully what being human is. So human nature, that we're fundamentally flawed, and that's why everything's the way it is. That's not the case at all.
I have a question. I have a question. 7 deadly sins.
Well, I mean,
That's not a question, I know.
no, yeah, 7 deadly sins.
I'm sorry. It's come up on various lives, and I know you know who I'm talking about, but I really would like a better understanding of that because nobody died for our sins. We are not born sinful. And the guilt around it, and like people I love with their Christian, and up like, okay, what's the 7 deadly sins? What is that about?
I can't even name them, to be honest, but
Well, I know it's like gluttony and lust and greed and I don't know. Everybody
yeah,
help me out.
well, I mean,
Thanks, Eliza.
sin is like imbalance because polarity, duality, two things are in balance with each other, create one thing. That's the universe. So it's one energy appearing in separate form. So it's both, and it's unified, it's one thing, and it's separate at the same time. And when you know that, there's no conflict. But sins are about imbalance. So free will, we have the ability to choose how we move through any experience, which means we can bring that in. We can make it about conflict between two opposites. We have the free will to do that. And that's what happens if you go down the, say, what happened in Atlantis was sexual desire was over amplified to the point where it distorted our relationship to love. So we had to live um, that process, like the distortion that happens with the inversion that happens with love when it becomes conditional. Um, we had to live through that process, which is what we've been doing, because love is unconditional, and sexual desire, when it becomes distorted, it puts conditions on it. It makes it into something it's not, in other words.
Well, yeah, but just okay, so like the commandments, like
Which
I
were
correct,
suggestions.
which were suggestions, but were
Okay.
there 10? Because the way I understand it is there were 2, and that's basically the golden rule, like love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as you'd love yourself, which we're all struggling with the yourself part, but you know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Like the sins. So it's either the 4 agreements or the knowledge. I don't know. It's one of the what's his name? Don Miguel Ruiz books. He speaks about sin. So basically Sam just said sin is Arabic translation miss the mark. Stacy says sin basically is a way to not love yourself. So Sam, don't you delete. I see your comment. Don't even delete it. So I gotta watch that girl. She's tricky. So
Sammy.
I know, right? So wait, where was I going with that? So basically in line with what Stacy said was in Don Miguel Ruiz's book. Um, Sin, original sin or first sin or whatever, is essentially not loving yourself, essentially not being true to yourself. He says it very differently. I used to know it by heart because I read that book like 5 times in a row because it was so good.
Mhm.
But sin has been just like Sam even said, a control program.
Hmm.
A control program to make us feel shame for ourselves and to keep us in line and to keep us gerbils
Yeah.
on the wheel, hamsters on the wheel, whatever. So if someone is saying God told them the seven deadly sins, and why are they deadly? Like what is your understanding about them?
Well, it creates turns darkness into something when you go into your shadow side. So deadly sins, it's life weaponized against itself,
Hmm.
consuming itself, free will. It has the opposite effect. So really it's just imbalance, like that saying, the Arabic translation missed the mark, the balance point between the two. If you're out of whack, you'll favor one side at the expense of the other, and that creates an imbalance that keeps the system out of balance. So it's a feedback loop. So the information we get from the world around us is out of whack. So it reinforces itself. So it gets worse and worse and bigger and bigger. That's what the human race has been going through for thousands of years till we're at the end point now. And that's been the whole goal, to get us to choose to make darkness into something. So these seven deadly sins, it's a way to make death real through free will.
Yeah.
And that goes against the nature of things. Again, knowing that there is an absolute reality really helps with this stuff. There is a balance point, a natural state for everything,
Right.
and that you can fulfill your soul purpose and experience the universe as it should be, as you were always meant to, by aligning up with that reality, by just letting life bring you back to that reality. And
Right.
that's all transition really is. It just means letting go of all the impact of living the inversion of separation, dividing to the polarity, keeping them separate and making them about conflict.
Right.
And
Didn't
again,
you
that just
read?
makes darkness real.
Did I hear? Right, right. You said, one of the problems is we think darkness is real.
It's a thing, it's
With
not.
our worry, our concern, or whatever, we're making the unreal real.
Yeah,
Didn't you say, or am I getting or remembering wrong, that enlightenment is our natural state? It's
yeah.
nothing it's
No,
nothing
I mean, it's
magnificent.
amazing. It's
Of
like
course.
life in that is amazing. However, it's also just the ordinary. It's like kids don't. We're all born into it, so it's not a big deal. But it's the extraordinary ordinariness. It's life. It's just the
Right,
natural state. Like I remember someone saying, "Enlightenment ain't no big deal. It's the natural state." But by
right.
making it into a big deal, that's the
Yeah,
false light. We actually, it's something we need to do to counter the dragging negative that we carry around with us, which is all just a mind conclusion. It's not even real. So the only way to get to that realization is to turn around and face it. And the seven deadly sins thing just stops you. What were reframed by those of the interference as the commandments were really just suggestions about how to come back into balance and stay there. So treating other people like they are you because they are is just recognizing the universe comes from a single energy. And everything that is separate isn't really separate, it's all unified. And all you need to do is let that experience come to you, and the joy of life is there. That enlightenment, being enlightened by the light of love every moment as it comes into you. That's all enlightenment really means, constantly being lit up by the joy of the living moment.
say that again.
Constantly being lit up by the joy of the present moment, the divine order, the
That's what
living moment.
enlightenment is.
Mm,
Constantly being lit up by the joy of the living moment.
yes.
Enlightenment.
By
Oh,
realizing
I love that.
self-realization, you're realizing the connection between you and another, which is unified. We are God, and we get to experience that moment, every living moment. That's the way to, God said in this transition, then life may return to that which we always intended. That's the way it always was meant to be. It wasn't meant to be about trawling back through all the horrendous grief and suffering so that we
Right.
can be free of it. Now we have to do
We
that,
have to do
actually,
that because of those of the interference.
but
But do you
that's
know how many do not speak of those of the interference? They're like people actively rebel and resist that. I think I said this earlier when you and I were talking. They'll resist that there are a very real they with a very real agenda saying we manifest all of this, and which on a degree we know is true, but and that's humanity coming to the realization of the part we played in all of it. But I think I said to you earlier on the call that they'll resist there's a very real they with a very real agenda before they'll resist God or the Nazarene or ETs. It's like seeing that there is a real they against us or trying to make the transition with us is like worse to them than admitting there's a God. I
Mm.
don't know if I'm saying that right, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in part it's probably because um, it,
It's
yeah,
scary.
feeling like we have the power um, to change our life. You know, there's a need to feel like we have the power to change our life, which um, is a way to categorize them to take away their ability to take our power. But the problem is the motivation behind it. If it's about controlling your own insecurity, then you're just doing the same thing. So those people need to check why they feel that way.
Yes, yes, yes.
Firstly, firstly, can they really know that's true?
Right.
There is no they, and how
Right.
they're seeing
Prepare
it
to
all
be wrong.
can they know that how they're seeing this is true? And secondly, who am I being right now? Am I coming from the ego that controls, or the truth of who I am? And having that question whilst you see everything the way you do.
Those are wonderful questions to have because I would love for you to explain. So let's turn it back around to me. I've felt sad for many years, 6 years, and the fucking people, and you know me, I am not a sad person. I am joyous and a lover
Mm,
of life and a bringer of excitement and love and joy, unconditional to
mhm,
anyone. So and then people telling me my sadness is a choice. Okay, on one level, I'm the first to agree with them, okay?
mhm,
But on the second, not even second, many levels, there are so many layers to this fucking onion. But I want to throttle anyone who tells me it's a choice because number one, oh wow, I can choose not to be sad. Oh my God, I would have done that. I had no
mm.
idea. Like, how dare you say that to me? Like,
Yeah.
how dare they say that to me? If I could not, if I could, I would,
Mm. That's
right?
it. Yeah. And again, yes, it's a choice, but the choice was so long ago and so old. The real choice, the original choice happened so long ago that it's in our subconscious. And the only way you can't use that active will strategy that's essentially what they're saying. Just will it away by choosing not to feel it. But that's just suppression. That's just the
That's
same old, same old.
suppression. That's
So
basically what they're telling me to do. It's like that meme I shared. Stop being sad. You're making people uncomfortable. They're telling me it's a choice because they've chosen to ignore their sadness
yeah, I
and
mean,
think they're healed and I'm broken.
how do you get out from under the sadness? Is it better and easier to look it square in the eye and ask it what it really is? Like, what are you and where do you come from really? And to not delude yourself, you've got the answer just because your mind comes up with answers. To still question all the answers your mind's putting in that space, whilst just looking it square in the eye with that question, waiting for the answer that neutralizes the question, knowing that you don't know what that is, but you'll know it when it happens because you're looking at the space and letting the sadness come to you to show you what it is. You're treating the experience that way round. At least you're willing to hold it in that context. That there's a context that the better way to be free of this sadness is to see right through it to its point of origin, all of it.
Yeah.
and
That's
and
freedom.
that's freedom because that original moment was based on an assumption that never got checked.
Right.
based on the idea
And
that you
now we're
needed to be
checking it.
something different. I need to be
Right.
someone else. Do
Right.
you? Is that
Right.
really true? But you
Right.
only three or two or four
Whatever.
or whenever that moment, first moment, there's always a first moment because it's not the natural
Really.
state. Remember,
Even
it's
if
not the
we
natural
don't
state.
know what the
Well,
moment is, there's a
well, you
first
can't know
moment.
it. You were too young to put words around it, so you don't relate to that moment as an adult
So
consciously.
curious.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be so curious about what that moment was, though?
Oh, well, I mean, it's just getting to the point where you can entertain the possibility of what I'm saying is a way to look at it, that there was an original moment, a start
Right.
point to
Right.
this feeling. And the further back you go, the simpler it gets because it's one moment. That one moment can be the mother of all sorts of scenarios and feelings and a whole complex matrix of stuff that don't seem even related to each other. It's just proof that you suck at life. It's just this big category called human nature and my flawed personality and the life I've failed to live, or the delusion that you're someone successful. It's all coming from one point that you had to be someone that was never true. And the only way to be free of all of that is to come back to that moment and look at it square in the eye and go, yeah, but do I really? Now, you can hear me say that the problem is you believe at a core level of 3 years old that you need to be someone else. But that you won't be free of it until you've lived the process all the way to the moment where you left yourself and saw it. So you've got to keep bringing that back in.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. And that can take years.
it
It
can
does
take as long
take
it takes
years.
as long as it takes.
It
It looks
takes
the
as
way it
long.
looks, but the only way is to have a direct experience that it's not true, right at the core level. And the only way to do that is to not just write off every experience you're having right now as being the problem, not the solution.
Yeah.
Again, we can't know that's true. Maybe when you ask for help, you hit the wall, you've got no idea what's going on. You've asked for help because you've heard that that's a good thing to do and you're phoning it in, but you recognize basically that you can't see the problem, let alone the solution. So what does any definition that anything that's happening to you from that point on have value? What value does it have if you explain it away? Oh, here it's this again. I'm not getting anywhere. Is that really true?
Right.
Maybe when you ask for help, you were brought into a series of situations designed specifically to take you back through time to that original moment, the one you can't see, let alone all the moments you need to live through to get there. Except God can. God, the source of the universe can see all of it and hold you through every moment. How do you know that that isn't exactly what's happening? You don't.
Yep. You don't. You don't. You can't. You've told me that many times. You can't prove a negative, Katie. Like, how do you know you're not moving
Yeah.
forward or whatever? And it's why I say whoever, whatever is happening to whomever on the planet, nobody's moving backwards. That's not a thing. It,
That's it. So that the what I've
now
just
Sam's gonna
explained,
say
it
something.
leaves you somewhere you don't want to be with nowhere to go and nothing to
Yep.
do about it. And that's
Yep.
tough. But that's exactly what burns it up.
Yep.
That the fact that you're in the fire and you're not escaping it, you're not pulling yourself out of the fire, and it's
So
burning up the false ego.
why do I care about all these well-intentioned assholes telling me it's just a choice? Why am I so fired up by it then?
Yeah, because well, you're being brought through the victim perpetrator paradigm that you've gone through your whole life, and um, you
They're
know,
not assholes. They just feel
no,
like it when they say that shit.
yeah, it touches a raw nerve
Yeah, it
because
does.
because when we were that small little kid, we didn't do it to ourselves. It was handed. We were put in a situation, and that's how it feels that we were innocent victims of something, and that's true to a point. But I mean that is true. However,
For
the,
sure.
but what we
But
were
you're not going to
what
know it until you go through it.
well, what is it we were given? A false perception.
Right.
We were
Right.
offered a picture of reality that isn't true, and we bought it.
Yep.
Now, we were
Too
too young to
young.
characterize it like that, but that doesn't change the nature. It's a transaction. The only way for us to be affected by our parents' inversion is to take it on like it's ours. And the only way to be free of that is to question that, is it ours? Is it really true that I'm not, that I need to be someone else?
Right.
And the only way to get to the point where that question is being asked at the foundation level of your whole being is to hit the wall, is to actually run out of road fully. You've got nothing left, which means that the great thing about being in that position is that the false answers your mind tries to put into that question don't register, they don't click, they don't hit, you can't feel them. The distractions you've always used all your life to get away from that feeling, which this feeling isn't new, it just gets worse, it's just more
Oh my
powerful because you've
God.
spent so long getting away from it. But the illusion that you've got an answer to fill the gap with that can distract you is gone, fully
It's
gone.
gone. Absolutely gone. Do you know
That
I
means the
started
only, well, it just means the only answer that works is the one that actually fits. It's just that you can't do it. All you
you
can do is
can't
surrender to
do
the
it.
reality that you know you don't know, and it
Right.
comes to you through all of these experiences that you're going to go
Exactly.
through from that moment on, because you switched on as a receiver. Inherent in that moment is, well, what does work? What is the answer? And as soon as you switch on at that level, you can't unswitch. You can't switch off again.
Mm-mm,
So
uh-uh.
you're
It's
going to draw everything you need to be brought through it.
It's really funny because from the time that it starts, age 2 or 3 or whatever, we're too young to have the understanding. We're too young to have the language. We're too young. But then you amass a lifetime of the experiences. You aren't conscious of any of it. And then when you are conscious of it, you got to experience them all over again with the
That's how.
rawest pain possible.
That's how.
That is some unfair shit.
Yeah, it's how it works. You
I
got
know.
you got to
I
go
know.
all the way to one end of the polarity to get away from the other end. You've got to come back into balance. You've got to go all the way back across to the other side. Then you're both and neither. Then if you're willing to go through everything you've already lived through with the question, yeah, but what is the
Yeah.
real truth?
Yeah.
It can't touch you anymore. At a certain point, you'll
That's
feel
the
that.
freedom that you've told me that. You've told me that again and again and again and again. Gratitude dissolves pain. And you're like, Katie, there's going to be a moment when you see why, when
Everything.
you're so free because you've lived it, you've looked at it consciously with great awareness and compassion and love. It's going to be like a light switch moment and nobody can ever take that from you again. You know how exciting that feels?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the compassion and love that you meet it with is simply being willing not to know the real answer. And being willing not to know the real answer has to come before knowing the real answer,
Yeah.
because that's what dislodges the false answer, the
Right.
false
Right,
thinking.
right. And Stacy just said maybe the wall is like bumpers. Like you're always talking about, walls aren't really walls, they're doors. Like whatever trauma or trigger or horrible event is happening to you, with this new awareness and understanding of how the universe works, you see all triggers and traumas and blockages as not blockages at all. They are doors. And like Stacy said, bumpers keeping you on the path
Mm,
you want to be on for your highest. Like the universe is conspiring for our highest in every living moment for every one of
mm.
us, even when it doesn't feel like it. It's really hard to know that when you're scared or
Yeah,
broke or
yeah,
abused. Like that's
yeah.
that's what people need. And
It's
that's
a
a tough
tough
one.
one. But when you really look and think about it, what is it about those situations that really creates that feeling? Is it all the what ifs we ask? We project into the future and we paint this, what will happen if I don't, I just lost my job and I don't have another one yet. What's going to happen if I don't? And we go into this whole what if world, or, what if, I mean, whatever your particular version of it is, it's more about the projection we go into, we fill the gap with. We make all sorts of decisions about what could happen and we live them
Yeah.
like they're true. And it's
Assumptions.
very, Yeah, assumptions. They're all assumptions. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's just the reality of it. You can't be in that mode and still be insecure. Now, of course, hitting the wall means you don't know. Fundamentally, you've realized that you don't know what works with life. Otherwise, you'd be doing it. You've tried
Yep.
everything. You don't know what else to do, and you've got nowhere. You feel like you've just lost yourself, let's
Yep.
say.
Yep.
Um, but having that space where you didn't have one before, it feels like where you fill all the what ifs, and that's all we relate to that space from, but it also allows room for the truth. And the irony is that all the possibilities we conjure up, there's a language to them which defines the belief system we've formed around that insecurity. And you get brought back through that belief system,
Oh,
undoing it. It's built on so many assumptions that sort of stay there so long they become law. They
oh yeah.
become
That
like reality.
when you try and emerge from those assumptions or from those way of being, you're totally confused. I was talking to you today about these simple decisions I have to make about, my house or things that I own or whatever. And like it's made simple tasks almost just painful. Like it's like I don't know what I like or what I want or what I'll will I regret it? And the only way I'll know is that if I do it or make that decision. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, this is so simple. It's all so simple, but because we're reversing an inversion that we've lived for all of our lives, it's the most complex thing I've ever done.
Mm. And it's really important, which makes the simple, calm truth feel wrong in a way. It's the answer's got to be as dramatic as the problem feels.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Well, that's where you said, pick up only planet of choice and just flip and see if something
Mm.
helps you with a decision. Because
Yeah, like today.
I kind of suck at decisions like right now. Well, but then I see, a meme going around like, oh no, it was one of the universe talks, tut. Those affirmation messages from the universe I get every day in an email. I
Mm.
love those. That's Mike Dooley. I love those. And one of them was basically like, Katie, fun fact on decisions. If you don't know, don't make a decision. But if you do know, decision made. The end. You're welcome. It was the cutest
Yeah.
thing. Like, there's no decision be made, period, until you know. And then it's not a decision, it's a knowing.
And
It's
that's what anxiety does. It fills that and amplifies it into this whole big thing
right.
that we feel like we've got to
Monster.
come up with a big counter for, and we just like, but it's
Yes,
just take all of the extrapolating what if thing out of the picture, and it's just you don't know till you do. Now again, you
exactly.
can't you can't go from one to the other just by an act of will because it's old and it's got a lot of layers in it embedded in us. So we're still going to react to life coming towards us, even though we know that that mode of being doesn't work anymore. We still got to get out of it, be
Yep.
disentangled from it,
Yep.
and it's very subconscious. So again, you can't control that experience, that process. You've just got to have trust that it's one that can happen, and that maybe that's what's happening. Maybe there is a truth to God. If there's truth to God and God is the all it is, then it makes perfect sense to me that God understands exactly what's going on with me and exactly how to get free of it. If religion take that out of the picture,
Take
it
it
only
out.
makes sense that God, to me, makes sense that God is a direct experience that I don't need anything else to connect with. So, how do I know that what's happening right now isn't part of that help? I don't. So let's just stay in that spirit. Maybe there's something here for me to see. I'm just not seeing it yet, and it's okay that it keeps on repeating because I'm still looking at it, trying to discern what I'm looking at. And that way of being there's some wisdom to it. Sometimes wisdom looks like foolishness and foolishness looks like wisdom. It looks unwise, but maybe that's because it's wise. And if the way I've been living is seen as wisdom and it's got me nowhere, well, maybe that's what God meant when he said sometimes wisdom looks like
Yep.
foolishness. And
Yep.
foolishness looks like wisdom. Maybe
Yep.
doing the opposite, where I don't need to work everything out before I take a step. Maybe I
No.
just let it show me. And if I don't feel like I know what that is, I'll wait.
It
And
feels
that,
like the waiting is forever.
well, that's what I mean. When you do that, then it brings up all the bits in your life that get in the way of that, and that has to happen. You're allowing room for there to be another way of being. So all of the habits and beliefs and experiences that come from them that block you in that way need to be seen through in that spirit.
Yeah.
So they'll come up and they'll come up and they'll come up and they'll come up. You hold that. I don't know this definition's true. The feeling is, maybe there's a reality to it. You're letting the gap be serve the false illusion being passed through the gap while you're looking for the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not going to get
And
an
and
answer straight away.
no, absolutely not. I haven't gotten an answer yet. But
But
I'm
you will.
laughing.
But you
I
do.
know I will. I trust that. There's
And you
only
have
one.
been.
I have been. I have. You're right. You're right. As you were saying all that, I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, is Gareth my crutch? Because you were just saying you allow, the anxiety, it makes it this thing, and then it comes up and up as you're quiet and doing the opposite of what everybody else will be doing. All of those things come up and you hold that while you're looking for the truth. I'm like, I don't know if I hold that. I think I give it to Gareth.
Well, look, I mean, sometimes you got to manage the intensity. It doesn't serve you to go too
So
far too
intense.
fast either. I mean,
Oh, I did that. I went too far too fast. It almost killed me. I was not staying. I was not staying if God didn't bring me you. God is the only thing I know. God, I know. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's my only certainty in this
me too, me too.
this
And
realm.
I was willing to know, I was willing to say to myself that I had no clue what that really was, what God is and how to relate to it, but I knew it was possible. And then life kind of put itself together around that so that I could relate to it directly. And I mean I just had to live life day to day and let it play out and take me where it was going to take me. And then the more I did that, the more I started to see. And that's just the way it works. The less caught up I was in the illusion. But I mean, it was very intense and it takes you places that you don't want to go. But just that's what I'm talking about. The belief, the idea that this is somewhere I shouldn't have gone, questioning that while you're going through it.
Through it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I am by myself 99% of my life. If I'm not by myself, I'm with my mother. I am by myself and I'm constantly talking to God about all the embarrassing things I'm doing all by myself. I'm like, I know you see that. I'm really sorry. But I'm never alone. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Shame and
sorry.
guilt.
I made it really silly.
Shame and guilt's a big one.
Oh, shame and guilt. It's like a monkey on my back. It's like just off with you. I think
Mm.
Sonia and I were talking about that today. It's just ugh, like, what am I shaming or guilty? I'm not hurting anybody with my life. In fact, I'm making my life better. I'm making my mother's life better. I'm
Mm.
assisting in the ascension of humanity. Thank you very much. It's kind of a big job.
But I mean,
Anyway,
just bringing it back down to street level again and meeting life with a new, what's that?
it's a banana
A banana
made out
plant.
of, I don't know, I'm just being silly. I have weird things at my desk.
I love it. Like your
Um,
flower
bringing it
pen.
back down to street level.
Yeah, and seeing everyday ordinary life that's happening right now at street level, it always has been that way. Maybe there's a whole new way of seeing it that frees me from the problem I've always had. That's a whole other way of looking at everything. And but again, that's true north. That's saying just meet the feeling and let the story be there.
When
Because
am I gonna
because
love life again? I don't love
well,
life as it
because
is. When am I gonna?
the story
Tell
is
me
the
right now.
generator of the story's generating the feeling, not
I know.
not the experience that we think is bringing it to us. It looks that way round. But the story we tell ourselves about the experience is the real delivery vehicle of the what we're trying to get away from. So you can see the problem. That perspective, but you
Yeah.
letting the experience, as soon as you're willing to question your mind, now the experience um, delivers what's needed to dissolve the belief system,
Yeah.
the energy running the belief system. So it's the same experience, but now it's serving you waking up from the real problem, which is the point of view you've always had about yourself and the world
Yeah.
through the experiences that seem to reinforce the belief from the first. Because remember, the problem starts with us feeling we're not right as we are. Then the distortion that creates in our field creates an equal and opposite reaction from life. So we bring to us the experiences that prove why, that put words to it. So it seems like the outside experience brings us the reality that we aren't right as we are, when really it's the
Yeah.
exact opposite. We have that feeling first and we take that into the world and it reflects back to us.
Yep.
So, how do you get free of it? You use the same reflection to undo the point of view rather than just reinforcing it.
Yep.
So, the only
Yep.
way to do that is to let the feeling that the experience delivers be there, let the story you tell yourself about it be there,
Yep.
and allow room for what I just said to
For
be the
what?
truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
I can shift it on a dime when I'm out in the world because it gives me anxiety to be out in the world. But when I'm loving to someone or smiling or goofy to a stranger, it can shift everything. Everything.
yeah, and instead of your mind running off with you in all the what ifs and just making that intensity worse, you feel yourself doing it again and just go, oh, stop it. Stop
Right.
following it like there's any cheese down those holes. Like we keep
Right.
on thinking that we're going to find the answer through the thinking. We just go, oh, hang on a minute. Just stop. Just come back to I'm I'm walking through the garden centre up the road because I'm finally getting that house plant that I've wanted for 6 months and always put off because I just don't want to be around people. And instead I've gone, you know what, I'm not going to pay the price for that anymore. I'm going to go there and then there you are and it's like, "Wah,
Yeah.
freak out city."
Yeah.
And then you just come back to, yeah, but this is serving me.
It's
I
all
just can't
serving
see
me.
how
I
fully
can't.
yet.
I can't in the moment. That's why I have to practice the non-reaction and the non-attachment. Because when you do, you'll eventually see it, but it is not in those moments. That
No.
takes a lot of discipline. That takes a
Mm.
lot of wonderful self-care and self-love and self-compassion.
And trust.
That is, and trust and faith,
Mm.
belief, not even belief. Who was I talking to the other day about belief? Lindsay, I think. It's like, it's not belief, it's knowing. I don't
No.
believe in
Yeah,
God. I
that's right.
know God.
See,
Like, I don't,
that's right. Getting your knowing in the heart knowing way.
yes, yes.
Back,
Belief leaves room for doubt.
yeah, well, getting that heart knowing, that's right. Getting that back in charge,
Yeah,
that's what you act from, and your mind catches up in real time. Your mind sort of is always discerning why that's that heart connection saying go this way. Why? Okay, let's put it all together and we'll put
I'm
words
getting
to it.
better at that. I'm
That's
getting
that's
so
that's what
much
the
better
mind
at
heart
that.
relationship's all about. When you're
Yeah,
kids, you just, what do you want to do today? I don't know. And then you do, you know. There's
right.
something you're dialoguing with reality through your heart connection, and then your mind's following along and learning about life and self in the process.
It
Instead, fear makes it go the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I feel like I'm so anxious because I'm so used to being anxious that I'll retreat to like a regular thing I would have done, like go to sleep or avoid it. But instead, I'll start something, and then because I'm in a meditative state of whatever I'm doing, all of a sudden I'll know what I want to do. It's very strange.
Yeah,
And it's not the natural, it is a natural way, but it's not the way
it's
I've
very
always lived.
it's the opposite to the way we've always lived. Yeah, and that's
Right.
why God told me life is art. So it's you wait for inspiration, and then you use that inspiration
My,
as the fuel for action. So it's another one of saying you're knowing, and then your mind follows that trajectory and makes it happen. But
well,
um,
my action is very mundane.
that's all it has
Like
to be.
life is art. My art is so mundane. I am the dullest person on the planet these days.
Well, look, it's not, yeah, you're just getting your head and heart back around the right way.
Yeah, yeah. I
That's all.
guess so. I guess so.
You
I
can't
mean,
you
I
can't
don't guess so.
will
I don't know. Yeah.
you can't will yourself to be inspired to paint something. You either are or you aren't, and your
Yeah.
mind can't do it. So that's the part of the inversion is to replace knowing with knowing. It's about what you know, knowledge. I know why this action is the right thing to do, and that's why I'm doing it. But you can't not know first and then just step into it and figure out what the right action is, because that seems foolish to that perspective. Fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to do the right thing and make sure the bad stuff won't happen, and you've got to figure out what that could be and then work out how to get through the situation to avoid it. And all you do is narrow life down to zero. And it's all about what you know and how you can
That,
justify to everybody who's asking questions. Why are you doing it that way? And you've got to
oh
come
yeah,
up with
I
a good
know.
answer. And
Everybody on this call probably understands, like, if anybody wants evidence for why I believe what I believe, because I
too bad, I
know.
can't
Like,
give it to you.
I
Yeah,
can't give it to you. I'm
you
really,
go.
really sorry. And then when you went like this, like knowing, all I thought of was because science. That seemed to be such an answer in the last 5 years of like the argument for not doing it or whatever, because science. Are you kidding me right now? Well,
Yeah,
we don't need to go there, but you know what I mean. You know what I
yeah,
mean. Like the time for evidentiary proof, physical, tangible proof, it's like that ship has sailed.
it's and
I'm interested in your heart and what you feel. I'm not interested in fuck all what you know. I don't give a shit.
and like I mean, me talking about what I've experienced in my life is my own direct experience. That's that's not what's really important for anyone else. Their own direct experiences. I'm just saying that that's a thing. There's a direct experience and an indirect experience. And if your belief system is based on information that you haven't directly experienced, then you've got to take it with a grain of salt. Until you've experienced something, you don't really know what the reality of it is. So how do you move through
It's
life?
a good thing I like
What's
salt.
what's the best way to move through life in a way that works? We have an idea that we know what that is. That humanity there is a life and this is what it is. Now, if you hit the wall, clearly that doesn't work.
No.
So now you've got a question at a fundamental level. How do I meet life in a way that works? And that's not something anyone can prove to you. You have to actually just be willing to step out into life and play around with it to find out.
Yeah.
And that's going to inevitably take you into all of the moments where you shut down, because that
Yep.
can't exist and live. You can't be closed and live life. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
So, of course, getting back into right alignment with the life that will serve you and make the life you were born to live, that is the only one that will make you happy. That happiness comes from means getting out of your own way,
Yeah.
and you can't
Boy,
do
was I
that
in my own way.
because
Oh
you
my
can't see
goodness.
how you're in your own way until you can't see how until you do, and the only way to get to the that part is to have a gap between knowing and not knowing, and then knowing you think you know, then you realize you don't. Then life happens, and you come to a certain point where you realize you know, oh wow, I've just clicked.
Yeah.
And that's what every human's going through, whether they know it or not. If
Yeah,
you're
it
alive on the planet right now, you're at some point on that curve.
yes, absolutely. Whether you're aware of it or not. If you're
You might, whether
here,
you, yeah.
you're in it.
So there are two groups of, fundamentally right now, you could say there are two groups of humans. Some know, some understand this. They're going, what the fuck? What is
What?
happening and
What?
how, just
Yeah.
what, and why and
Just
how.
plain what?
Yeah, like in other
Right.
words, you got some questions. Like you got some questions, not opinions. There are a lot of questions and very few opinions that really, every opinion you put up just goes, "Bzz." Okay, let's try something else. Or
Literally.
or you're the opposite, or you're doing the opposite, but it's a response to the same catalyst,
Yeah.
which is the transition, the inevitable force called the dimensional shift that the human race is going through. And it is an inevitable force. We are moving back into full five-dimensional awareness of the truth of who we are and where we are, and that's just what's happening.
That's
So
so exciting.
all you're seeing with this split Earth thing is that scenario that people are meeting the same
I,
process from two perspectives.
yes, and I get that, and I see it, I'm living it. But when it's put into such literal wait, move it over. I can't see it. Move it over. There we go. Thank you.
That's 133, by the way. It's the
Yeah, yeah,
Nazarene.
yeah, yeah. So, well, oh, but when certain spiritual teachers put it into such a literal context of the splitting of the earth, and some people aren't going to wake up, that whole thing I said earlier. Like,
Yeah.
no, absolutely no. Like, what part of we are one?
Hmm.
One,
Except
don't you
for,
understand? Except for that
you
one
know,
who's not going to get it. Like,
you know,
that's my family, and they're not going to get it.
because I've got
No.
really all those people are saying is I have no idea how those people are going to get from where they are now to to
Nor do
to
I.
to any, yeah, but
This is not for our understanding, but it's
it,
happening.
well, but see, that's the thing. It gets back to be willing not to know everything you think you know, everything, this is the thing about the transition, the dimensional shift we're making is it's a complete reversal. We are reversing the inversion. Like our whole paradigm is upside down, which means putting it back around the right way transforms everything we think we know on every level about everything. It doesn't mean that some of those things aren't on the money. We just don't know which is which yet until we do. So that does two things. It dislodges the power of the mind control. It releases the impact it's had on us emotionally, and it brings us back to the knowledge and awareness we need to come back to the truth of who we are.
Yep. Yep.
And everything is serving that. Everything is serving it, and everyone's going through that process. It's just hard for some people to imagine it. What could happen that would make that happen? It's hard to picture it for some people. But again, that just gets back to not knowing. I mean,
Well, you've said, I think it's in the only planet of choice, or maybe God said it to you directly, but so much of this is not for your human comprehension. It's
it's beyond your
impossible
comprehension.
beyond your comprehension. Yeah,
Yeah.
beyond your comprehension. So my favorite thing to say, I think it's even in, most of my profiles, is prepare to be wrong.
Hmm.
I'm prepared to be wrong. Are you? I mean,
And
that's
that's
all
what
I
we're
got to
afraid of.
do.
That's right. That's what
Yeah.
we're afraid of. That the realities beyond our comprehension triggers that fear. So we make reality into something we can comprehend at the expense of the truth. And that's the problem we've got. So everything we think we know has got to get out of the way. which means all the extrapolations that we put in there, all the what ifs, we have to live through them because the situation, the gap's
God, I
going to trigger
know.
them because that's what we think is in the gap. So it makes sense that all of those false ideas have to get triggered by the fact that we don't know while we live through the reality that they're false ideas. They weren't true. Here we
Yeah.
are in the gap. This unknown quantity of life that I just lost everything. I got no idea what to do next. I feel all the things I used to blah blah blah. All the stories are spinning, and you're still there, and you're still there, and you're still there, and you're still there, and you're still there. And then one day you realize you know, so what? I don't know.
Yeah.
You get comfortable with not knowing
You
by
get
not knowing.
comfortable with the fear too,
And now
though.
that happening, just the fact that you get comfortable being in a space of not knowing changes your relationship to the gap.
Yeah.
And that's just an inevitable consequence of being put in that situation so long. Because
Yeah.
what happens? What are the what ifs based on? They're based on what happens if you don't know. So
Right.
you do everything you can to stay in a world where you don't have to feel that way. Then you get put into a life where that doesn't happen anymore. Suddenly you're in the gap of I don't know. Well, the what ifs are based on an indirect experience of what will happen if you do that. And then what cures it is having a direct experience that none of that was true because it didn't happen. I didn't spontaneously combust. My hair didn't fall out, my teeth fall out. And
Right.
you know what I'm like, so many, so much of the problematicness we put in to the danger
Yeah.
zone of what could happen if I don't have control over everything isn't going to happen.
Right.
So, so you don't need the theories, the extrapolations, and all the ideas that we put in the unknown quantity to justify control evaporate because there's nothing to base them on. You realize
My
you do have what it takes to
exactly.
do.
Mike is hilarious. He didn't do it in this chat right now, but so many times in chats I've seen him say, worrying works because none of the stuff I've worried about has ever happened.
It's exactly. And he can say that now.
He can say that now and understand,
Yeah.
right, the
The
mechanics
importance of
behind
that.
that.
That
Right,
recognition. Yeah. The
right.
importance of that
And
moment.
and the other thing I've heard, not necessarily from him, but maybe in a meme or whatever, is basically worry is your lack of faith in God.
Mm.
Worry is your
Hmm.
lack of trust.
In
Like
life.
like my friend Lori, he told me years ago when I was still like so caught up in how my relationship with my son was, like, and I just was worried about him. I don't worry about him at all
Mm.
anymore. I have so much just confidence and a knowing belief, whatever, in whatever he wants to do and however he'll be or whatever. But before, Lori would say to me, he'd say like, don't worry about him. You're projecting a lack of belief in his abilities on
Mm.
him.
Mm.
And nobody ever explained anything like that to me
Yeah.
before. So
That's it.
now, if I were to instinctually go to being concerned about you or Sam or Mike, or there's no more worry. I have absolute confidence in everybody's abilities and that the universe is conspiring for their highest and their best. And I will bring that to everything I comment on, every live chat I'm in is full on confidence in where we're going, how you're doing it, what you're feeling, full on confidence.
Yeah, and then those moments where the opposite experience shows up have the context because you realize that they're being moved through because of that first
Yes.
attitude.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's your trust in life that gives life permission to throw everything to
Everything
clear
your
you out,
way.
basically
Clear
clear
you
out all of
out.
the backlog of the impact of not of
You hear that,
lack of
Sam?
faith, lack of faith in yourself,
Lack of faith in yourself, lack of faith in your God, like lack of faith in life.
That's why he used every time the description God uses for things gives you a bit of a hint of the code behind it. So when he said the solution to when you hit a problem that's so overwhelming you don't know what to do, but you're feeling like really vulnerable, he said, give it to us to hold and have faith in yourself and life and have faith in yourself and in us that it will be resolved. So that's getting to the ego that controls and lack of a belief in an absolute reality. The way we relate to the lack of faith in our own ability to meet life leads to this false persona we call Gareth, Katie, Sam,
Mike,
Lindsay,
Lindsay, yeah, yeah.
all of us.
Yep.
So much of that has nothing to do with who we really are.
Right.
It was, our personality was formed around this false center of gravity that we need to be someone.
Yeah.
So all our belief system forms around that instead
Yeah.
of we have no idea really who we are had we formed our personality formed around the reality of who
The
we are. What would
reality,
that
oh my
look like?
goodness. Like the
So,
little star seeds that are born today and in the last couple of years, growing up with these really awake parents and with a complete belief in love and freedom to move and explore and make decisions. Like, oh my God, those kids. Can you imagine the untapped
well,
potential in all of us watching these young ones being brought up the way we wish we were?
and that's the thing. How do we get from one back to
Yeah,
the other?
we're
You've
getting
got to
there.
be you've got to be pulled apart piece by piece to a certain point so that you can be put back together piece by
Yeah.
piece. And it tends to happen that way around. So again, there's this big gap. Getting comfortable with the gap, getting just de-energizing, de-energizing the false beliefs about what could happen if you don't control everything by living through a process where you're not in control to the point where you get comfortable with it. Being comfortable with the unknown by just being in it for so long, you got no choice. You
Yep.
you get used to it. You get used to not knowing, and it does something. It starts to change how you the how much of you is online to discern what's happening. You start making connections you wouldn't have made before.
Wouldn't have made. No.
Yeah,
I
you
can
know,
hear you today the way I couldn't hear you 3 years ago. That's a connection. Yeah. Yeah.
that's because you've been held in this discomfort for so long that it's not an unknown quantity anymore. And that does something.
I'm
That
still
changes something.
impatient. I'm still
Yeah,
impatient.
yeah, but I mean that's that point where you become you don't even realize it's de-energizing but it's becoming familiar. The unfamiliar was becoming familiar, that it's okay not to know. And then it starts to show up. The benefit of that subconscious shift starts to show up. Because that's what basically why you get familiar with it. There's less of you caught up in the
Sorry,
past.
I just got a little teary because I just said I answered Rebus Returns that I'm 6 years off of antidepressants after being on them for 25 years. And Stacy said, if you can do that, you can do anything.
Yeah,
And Rebus said, you're doing awesome, Katie. And it
she
just
is.
makes me cry.
Good. Because it's true. You do an amazing job. You went
Yeah, but that
straight to
was a
zero.
big one. Do you know I started drinking when I was like 13? And next month I hit 3 years no drinking, not a drop. Well, except in flower essences, but I don't think they count.
No, 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 they don't.
But anyway, it's like those memes you see somebody going like this, like no thank you to a beer or a glass of wine. No thank you. I like to suffer. I like raw dogging my suffering. That's exactly what I'm doing. Like my friend who grooms my cat wrote to me today and she says, maybe take a gummy. I'm like, sweetheart, I got ayahuasca in this house, psilocybin, CBD, THC, ketamine, um, I can't even remember what else I have in my house in my freezer. Why I don't throw this shit out, I don't know. But I have all this
Holy,
stuff. I haven't done anything in years. I tried, you remember, I tried a month with a coach with the microdosing psilocybin, microdosing Aya and ketamine. And like, no, I'm like literally raw dogging suffering. So when somebody like shames TV, like I'm very, you know me, I can't watch things, but when somebody shames TV or when I shame TV for fuck's sake, I'm like, oh God, I gotta escape this somehow, some way, right? Because none of that shit is doing it. Oh, oh my God. Raw dogging, rocking out, Lindsay, raw dogging out here with no meds. LOL. Oh my God.
And that stuff too. You can dislodge a stuck point, but ultimately going direct with life here and now will take you through all of that too. So it's not to say there's no role
Absolutely.
but you don't need it either.
Absolutely, Garrett. That's so funny you say that because we're always talking about the energy or the spirit or the inspiration of which you're doing things or thinking things or you're right.
The
And so
motivation.
if the idea of ayahuasca or what's the one, iboga, which Jeff Berwick did, right, Mike?
Mm.
Like the idea of those light me up. I know they light Mike up. I'm throwing you under the bus in the chat. I'm really sorry, Mike. But like they light me up and we keep talking about like we're gonna go somewhere, we're gonna do this together. But I feel like they've lit me up since my awakening, but I think it was coming from, and maybe even still, coming from well, nothing else worked, maybe that will. Like it's coming from a desperation of fixing energy. And I
Mm.
feel like when I don't want to do it is when I should do it. Not
Yeah.
not like don't want to as in resisting is like don't doing something you don't want to do. I mean, it'll come from a how exciting, won't this be fun energy instead of something has to fix me energy, right?
Yeah, that false light of hope thing again, that something will save you from this
From
feeling.
this.
Something will be because because again, ultimately the feeling exists because we believe something is not true deep in our subconscious, and it won't change until that belief changes. So these things can serve a role in that process,
Sure.
but that has to be about what it's about. If it's about removing your awareness from that feeling, then it's just the same old thing. So
Yeah.
again, that's why God said it's your
Yep.
motivation is your protection, all things. If you're looking for the truth, then it's a tool you can use in a particular moment. It might come to you randomly, a series of sequence of events,
Sure.
and you kind of recognize that's what's happening and you had no plan to do, or you might believe that it's
Yes.
a bad idea, let's say, and yet something plays out. You're willing to go, you might hear this podcast or someone else saying, just give it a go, just let go of control. If something turns up, let your heart tell you whether it's something to step into or not. Be willing to be wrong about it too. It's
Yeah.
no big deal if you get it wrong. Just
Right.
what you're looking for is for your heart to guide you into a moment, and it feels like that's what's happening. Go with it in that spirit, then it serves a purpose, because when it's time to leave it, you will leave it too, because your focus is on the process, not the external
Right.
tools. So
Right.
you
Right.
don't run the risk of getting pulled back into suppression.
That's no, exactly. Well, it was funny. It was a year ago. I think it's usually my son that triggers me to want, you know, to shoot heroin or something. But like a year ago, he triggered, not really. Okay. Not really, everybody. Not really.
Yeah, just to
But it was like
clarify.
a year or two ago that I was so just beside myself. And I'm like, I'm going to kill myself if I don't do something. And I took a Xanax, but I was so ashamed that I took a Xanax. And you were the only person I told. And now I've told all 35 of you. But
Yeah.
you were the only person I told. And you said to me, Katie, that's great. That's perfect. It was one. It wasn't your 25 years. It was one. And you basically took what they weaponized against all of this, you
Mm,
took one to stay in the game. How great
mm,
is that?
totally.
That's how you use these tools. That's how
Yeah.
you do this.
And you let the shame that came next be a part of the healing process to move from the ability for that shame to exist at all.
Right,
So that
right.
so now it serves you being free of the underlying belief which that shame came from.
Yep,
See, it's not the Xanax that's the problem, it's the shame. It
yep,
attracts to us the physical. So things like behavioral addictions, relationship addictions, chemical addictions are a secondary effect of carrying this shame, this sort of shame and guilt that we aren't right as we are. So, using it as a way to see through it is a
yep,
whole different thing.
yep.
That you acted on it um, in a way that gives
Your
you
motivation,
clarity.
clarity, and motivation. Your motivation is protection in all things.
Because
I,
you were willing afterwards to hold it out in front of you in a spirit that you didn't even know existed when you were caught up in it the first time.
but I still would only tell you for a really long
Yeah.
time.
And again, that gets back to vulnerability. That's the thing we're all trying to be, if you're not right as you are, then you can't be wrong in any way. So we keep it secret. And
Right.
force, that that force that the secretiveness creates is the, it's I don't know how to put it, very destabilizing.
Very destabilizing.
So being willing to be exposed to the criticism and judgment that would happen if we shared who we're being in those secretive moments,
Yes.
we're willing to we need to get to a point where we can handle this feeling, but in the end, just letting those situations that expose us
Yeah.
be a part of serving. Find the one who cares.
Right.
That intensity, the impetus to hide those parts of ourselves we're ashamed of in case we get judged, because those moments feel worse.
Sure.
The moments where someone else sees it and then they go, because it's an echo of that first moment we left ourselves. It looks the same to us on a subconscious level,
Yeah.
same facial expression.
Yeah.
So we avoid them, but the avoidance makes it more intense, more worse. So those behaviors that we hide from get more intense. They become
Oh,
more
yeah.
physical.
We've made it the
Yeah.
monster that we've
Yeah.
said
So
it
these
is.
actions, so we act on these impulses, and then, but by willing to get to a point where we're willing to just be open about it and feel the discomfort of that until we don't anymore.
Yep.
Where we're willing to
Yeah.
let those experiences serve us. Like me doing this, for instance, was my version of it.
Oh, yeah. Mike just said something really nice. He said, your intention will be your protection. That's lovely.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah,
I mean, it's along the same lines. Your
yeah,
intention will be your protection. That's
yeah.
along the same lines, and it's really lovely.
You want to see through the illusion to the truth, and you're willing to let everything be a part of that process, even though you can't see how. And that's one of them, being exposed publicly. Public humiliation is a big one. Huge.
Do
Just everyone's dealing with it in some form through childhood.
do all secrets have to come up and out? Or if you've dealt with the secrets with a person that they involved or whatever, do all secrets have to be public knowledge? I
And
mean,
it's not so much about every secret being public knowledge as the need to keep it secret
yeah.
dissolving.
Yep. 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 That's what I thought. That's what I thought. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but see
Woo,
that
that
now
was a close call.
but you see, you know better than to let yourself get away with that.
Yep, I sure do. And you
Yeah,
know I do. Shut
yeah.
up. I'm not going to tell my secrets right here and now. I'll tell you. I won't tell here. But
But look,
so
that's the fifth
funny.
dimension. In the end
Yeah.
times, Everything that's hidden shall be revealed. When the fourth dimension stops being purely left brain, linear, logical, and pushed that way by science and academia, when that dissolves and both feminine and masculine sides of time are allowed to exist fully in our world, which is exactly what's happening in the fifth dimension, then that's the end of time being an obstacle. It turns from a wall into a doorway, back into spirituality. Each moment we live through includes the physical world and the spiritual world at the same time. Time. Each moment has both. That's all the end of time means. That's what it means. So in the end times, when this energy wave starts to break apart, the physical reality being the only reality, and fifth dimension comes in. Fifth dimension,
Yay!
well, the fifth dimension of spirit is unified, so time and space are one. So there's nowhere to hide anything. So that's all it means. In the end times, everything that's hidden shall be revealed. Everything that we've been running from within ourselves, we see through to the core, to the child that we were that just needed to be held. We have compassion and love for ourselves instead of those feelings.
Yeah,
We can't have that compassion and love for other people fully, forgiveness for anyone else until that happens. Your cup runs over. We have to actually see ourselves, see our own heart, and see through the conditioning we've gone through that gives us this false picture that makes us feel bad about ourselves. Because that we need to allow ourselves to be undone so that we can see our own heart. Then we'll be able to see everybody else. You can't forgive anyone else and feel that way about yourself. It doesn't work.
yep,
But once you see through yourself
yep.
to your own heart, self-respect, your ability to meet life is worth meeting, and all the experiences the awareness that's given you crystallizes. That
Yep.
that's where freedom is, and um, everything you see around you comes out of that.
That's such freedom. I
Yeah,
couldn't even find the words. Like it can't be taken from us. It can't
no.
be messed with. It's like that's
Yeah. Once you see through that illusion in yourself to the truth, it's done, finished.
right.
The
And I
idea that
get
you are.
glimmers. I get glimmers for sure.
Hmm.
Right? All right. You
Have
ready?
we left anyone behind in the
I
chat?
don't know.
Um,
Oh,
I've
Sitara says, I am staying here. I'm too curious what's going to happen with humanity on this evolutionary journey. I want to see 5D here. I want to bring home here. And we are. We are. We are.
and Satara. What if we are in the process now of the getting out? That's coming from
Oh, that's
Sammy.
what Sam. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we're all like Katie, same. Satara. Yes, just be.
Oh,
We're all
just keep it all flowing. I'm loving it.
We're all doing that. Yeah, that's it. I'm on this show being vulnerable to trying to put together in some coherent form what I've lived through and trust that even though some of the points are challenging for people, that it's got nothing to do with me. And the
No,
way I get really clear of that is by just being myself out there in the world and letting that just be what it is. And if anything triggers me, I'll meet that experience as me becoming free of the feeling, becoming free of some kind of conclusion I've got. If I didn't have a connecting belief, it wouldn't touch me. So there's the value of it. And the Arcturian said that that's the final point, letting love in. You
yep,
can't let love in without being in the world as you are.
yep,
And anything that's in the way of you being in the world as you are will be burnt up by that. And that's the point I've been going through.
yes,
This,
yes,
like that final point of the victim perpetrator loop is the 0 point through the middle where you let love in.
yep,
And
yep.
so we're all at the same point. We're all
Have
dealing
you
with the
had
same thing.
Have you ever had anyone tell you they love you more than me?
No,
You don't have a choice but to let love
no.
in from
But
me.
but see, if I don't believe it, it doesn't touch me.
Exactly.
If I don't
Exactly.
love, yeah, if I don't believe that I'm worthy of that love, I'll hear the words, but I won't feel it.
We're getting there.
Yes, and this is how direct experience
Yeah.
that it's okay for me. I mean, I I was shown in a dream that the disrespect for all the help I've received, and the waste of energy that it's taken for me to meet it if I don't do this. And that really helped me actually. What a waste of time it would be if everything that I've lived through, if I don't actually, what's the point if I don't let it have its way? Like
Right.
it
What
happens
is the
for a
point?
reason. What's the point? Why would I go through? Well, there's no point.
No.
So that is more powerful than my resistance to the root feeling of being at risk.
Yep.
Like, the big one, like I've said many times, is associating yourself with the Nazarene.
Oh
You're not
yeah, I
allowed to
know.
do that. That's the worst thing you can do. And you got to be drinking a Kool-Aid for someone to say that the Nazarene told his brother James to have children with the Magdalene and that this set up a bloodline. And hey, how you doing here? I'm one of them. But again, the extraordinary ordinariness, who cares? So what? It doesn't mean anything.
No.
It
Right.
it has a job in a certain theatre of experience, a role in a certain theatre of experience, but ultimately the theatre of experience is an illusion. It's simply an illusion so that God can experience God's the self.
Yeah.
We're all the same outside that illusion. I mean, it's all the same. Each
It's
soul
all the
is
same.
what? How do you, like the Arcturian said, the picture of life, the mosaic of life, made up of every soul. How do without every soul, the picture's incomplete. How do you value one above another? It's just not even. So
It's not even a thing.
for me to know that and still resist being who I am, I can't know that and resist who I am. So I've just got a risk that some people won't want to hear that and that it has nothing to do with me. And
Yep.
if
Yep.
it feels like it has an impact on me, I'll meet that in the right context.
Yeah.
Turn it around and look who, who's the one who's got a problem with it. And there are ways to meet the thinking around it,
Yep. Yep.
to get clear on it. But that's
Well,
ultimately the process.
I could listen to you till the cows come home. I yawn
Thanks.
all the time. And it is not boredom. It is feeling your energy. It's feeling your truth. I'm just like expressing yawns because I'm feeling truth.
Sure.
Yeah. And your truth, I haven't lived directly, but because I have those responses to it, I know they're true.
Yeah, and you're going through something and you're starting to see the physical shift play out. And the change that meeting life the way you've been meeting it brings to you, letting the gap be
Yeah.
there and letting the gap be there as being serving a purpose means you let it serve its purpose. You don't get
Yeah.
in the way of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No more
mm,
getting in the way of it.
um, I
No
don't know.
time
I'm
for
reading
that
these
shit.
two. Which I know you don't like.
Oh, you're reading the comments? Yeah, you
Yeah,
can read the comments. I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
yeah, Lindsay. We're taking it all way too seriously. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, she's right. Yep.
we make such a big deal out of getting it wrong. But how do you learn
Mike.
a bike without getting it wrong? How do you learn to ride
Right.
a bike without getting
How
it
to learn
wrong?
how I know, I'm sorry, I interrupted with Mike. He wrote, "Love you, Katie and Gareth." There's so much
You
love in
too.
this group. There's
Yeah.
just so much love. It could
Oh,
be
Roseanne, such a great group. It is, yeah, because we're all just like, we're all over it. We just want to know what works and, let's just share our experience because that's
we're all
that's all we're
walking each
doing.
other home.
We are. And this is never, remember, this transition's never happened this way in the history of the universe. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
So we're writing the book with God in real time.
And they
This
know our
is
names.
this is how you do it. Yes. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And you'll have an interaction with once open contact plays out and you'll have a connection with the Nazarene and God directly, etc., you'll see the process you went through before incarnating to choose this life, the purpose behind it. So
Ah,
particularly if you're in this leading edge of the wave, let's say the more conscious people that there's something going on, who are they willing to let go of doing spirituality just as much as doing physicality, just come back to being. Um, it was a soul contract, so you'll see that
yes. Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
like
Mike,
having an NDE.
yes, absolutely. It's a life review. Michael Newton writes on that and then a few others. But I was just laughing when you were talking about open contact because I'm just like so ready for it. But I laugh because I'm like, open contact, huh? Well, Sam and I are out of here. Like that shit happens, we are gone.
Funny, we were shown an image post open contact, and because our kids, we've got to kind of bring our kids up to speed, um, which is going to be an eye-opening conversation for them. And the way it was shown to
Oh
us
my
was,
God, you and your kids.
yeah,
I
yeah, we
want to be
were.
a fly on the wall. Go
Oh
on.
man. And well, that was funny because this is my wife was showing these images of us sitting around the kitchen table at their place with someone from another planet, and they're sitting there with us. This ET is sitting there with his elbow on the table like this, smiling at us, and the kids are both sitting there like, well, he fills them in on, and this is what's been going on, the reason your life, and you have to move, so, and you're born into this, blah, 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 and we're sitting there and they're being brought up to speed. The other one was being brought into, because, there's a white hat group involving the military and the government and different elements of our society, and them connecting with the people on the street level of this we were all brought into a room, but so my wife was there with the kids, and there was some people from the Galactic Federation of there, as well as people from the military and the government in his room. And then I pop up on a screen. Apparently, there's this big video screen that
Laughing
just,
already.
oh my God, I'm just laughing. And I'm standing on the bridge of a ship with a whole lot of ETs around me. I'm just, hey kids, how you going? Just like that. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And they're all like sitting there with their
Maybe
jaws on them.
they won't. They are your children. Maybe they won't be.
Maybe, maybe,
Maybe.
maybe. I
I mean,
mean,
they are your children. Maybe it will answer a whole lot of questions.
well, one of them we were shown was, we're twin flame soulmates. So Anna and I are twin flame soulmates. So, the soulmate combined with the opposite. And our kids are born through that. So they have that as well. And my daughter's twin flame was actually from another planet.
Yes, you told me that.
Over there together with our grandchild who was half
Half
human,
and
half.
half and
So we've got a lot
Stace,
of ground ISIS, there's a lot of ground to cover. Let's put it that way
a
between now
lot
and
of
then.
ground to cover, Isis. Well, her name is Isis. She's halfway there. So, Stacy just said, what if the ET is simply past the ice wall? What do you think
Oh,
about
that
flat Earth and the ice wall and all that stuff?
well, don't forget we are ET. I mean, human race.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
We have the mix of the original and the pioneer. So
But you know how they keep us from going certain places on Earth. Some things are off limits, like so many parts of the Grand Canyon are off limits because I think we'd see civilizations or unbelievable to human creation like shit. I think it
yeah,
would just blow our minds.
yes. I mean, the fact that humans have been in North America way, 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 way longer than fits the narrative
The
around.
narrative. Yeah.
It's just ludicrous. They've been trying to hide the reality of higher civilization being there globally around the world for
Stop saying
tens
globe.
of thousands of years earlier than we thought. I mean, it goes back a couple of 100,000 years. So, that's absolutely. But also the collapse of Atlantis. There were certain groups that weren't um, that didn't need to be affected by that were held back. That were, so how do I put it? Um, we had to go there, but they didn't. For instance, Peru, the
Machu Picchu?
yeah, yeah, the Inca, not the Aztec, but the Peruvian one. I think there was a colony. They were brought into 5D way earlier, about 500-600 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they transitioned to 5D early, just because there was a few roles in it. But there's also civilization part of the human race, or civilizations that are more closely directly linked to the genetics of other civilizations around the world. So it's some of it's a combination of those are the interference hiding things from us, and others it's these groups being separate from us while we go through this inversion process, coming back
Right.
to the other side.
So if energy can't be created or destroyed and everything is already all here, are those souls of the Incans or whatever civilization that were brought into the 5D 600 years ago, like are new souls being constantly created, or are all souls kind of recycled souls? Like, are some of those who were brought into 5D some of us here right now?
Now, the number of souls, like the sum total energy of the universe never changes. Well, that's a reflection of God, the all that is, the unmoved mover, and the number of souls never changes. What
Okay.
constantly changes is the light space vehicle they can enter into.
Okay. Okay.
So
That makes sense. That makes sense.
the souls that are incarnating now, for instance, and have been since about the end of the 90s, have never lived on this planet before.
Yes, that I've heard. Did you say the indigo children?
Indigo children onwards, yeah. And
Onwards.
that was a strategic reason, because they don't have a link to
They
the
don't
genetic.
have the genetic and the generational
Well,
trauma,
they don't have the individual soul debt that some souls do.
the karmic debt,
Karmic
the
debt,
individual soul.
the
Okay.
recycling and bottlenecking of souls. So
Okay.
it was a way to upset the balance that was keeping that reinforced.
Man, oh man. What we keep it's like 10:15 and it's PM here and we keep talking about things I haven't even really talked about. So wait a minute. So earlier I was telling
That
somebody,
was possible, by the way, because we reached critical mass in 97. So the indigo
wait,
kids
what
could
was
come in.
possible?
The
Oh, the
fact that
children coming in who had never been
souls could come in who had never been born on this planet before,
was because of 97
because that
enough.
breaks the percentage. It brings a new element in. So it's not just about clearing up karmic debt, but it's about new souls having an experience, which was the way it was always meant to be.
Yeah.
So there's that
Like
element
like we
that
were supposed to have the experience we're having and then boop go to a light space vehicle on some other planet or
some other planet.
galaxy or
Yeah.
you oh
So they have that purity, and there's a lot
yes,
of them.
there's a lot of them.
But they're
Isn't
growing
that
up in the
wonderful?
conditioning as well.
I know, and getting vaccinated and
That
stuff.
has to be the case, because it's they're a delivery vehicle for the reality of what has been happening. So that reality has to be seen through. And
Wow.
I was told about them, they would all wake up at once. And I always thought that was something to do with the fact that they hadn't been born here. And it is. It is in a sense. It is in a sense. But it's also the fact that the catalyst is COVID.
Wow.
The catalyst that undoes the fact that all our perception of reality is controlled by a group that controls the flow of information has to be seen.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that their generation has been hit with harder than any other generation, and that's what all
Yes.
those strategies are about. COVID was just as a counter move to them. So of course, that being exposed as a lie on that scale does something for them.
Right, because they were hammered from the beginning with all of
Yeah,
that, media and programming and
yeah.
propaganda. Like,
They,
it's
they,
why I'm here saying it for all the world, why my son is so arrogant about being
yeah,
a know-it-all about everything, because
yes.
he's been hammered with,
Yeah.
you know this because we told you you know
Mm.
this.
So him and all of their generation saying, "Oh my God,"
Oh, hallelujah.
and they have less in the way. They have less karmic debt to hide from,
Wow,
and that's important.
that's
That's important.
exciting.
It is, yeah. So the
I,
ripple effect of that COVID narrative collapsing really has a big effect on them
could it
quickly
be
too.
quickly too, like a light switch?
Mm.
So does it have an effect on them in I know this isn't a thing, but like a scary way, like that, how everyone says there's going to be a mass exodus of souls, because of the
Oh,
jab and all that nonsense.
look, I don't know about that. It's more about um, waking up to the arrogance of being the one who knows when you don't have a
Yeah.
clue what you're talking about. I mean, not that that's a judgment. It's just the truth. You're 25. What do you know about
What do
life?
you
You're barely
know?
lived any. And I mean,
Right.
I felt I was in the same situation. You know, I'm speaking from direct experience too, of my own life. Like how much of what I saw, um, the way I saw things. I mean, the 5D thing didn't let me get away with this had I not have it as much.
Sure.
And also, I had ideas about things that just weren't true, and I
Me
needed to
too.
live life to find out that that was the case. And it changed me, though, because that situation where I could project into the future and think that that's going to work. I can't see things that way anymore because I was pulled out of it. So this generation are going to see through a very powerful experience of how deluded you can be about reality and
Wow.
how your actions can actually create big problems if you don't stop and think.
Right.
They've got that in them big time.
They
Because what were the
sure
ramifications
do.
of COVID had it worked? Slavery. Full blown, out in the open, no holds barred slavery. Full
Slavery.
blown,
And
out in the
and
open, full, no holds barred mass death.
right.
You know, that's what would have happened.
And control. Full on
Or
control.
slavery.
Like, people wanted to see us hurt or imprisoned or just punished.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, let's think of the worst totalitarian regimes throughout history and make it global. That's what
that's
would
what
happen.
happened. Wow.
Totalitarianism, slavery, that's it, full stop.
Full stop.
But it wouldn't have been a conspiracy theory. It would have been a reality that no one could argue with because here it is.
Yep.
There's no point them doing what they've been doing without at some point it becomes a reality. The trick is they had to time that perfectly because it had to be um, the ramification of our free will choice in order to work. The only
Wait
way
a
they
minute.
could
They
pull,
had to time it perfectly.
yes,
Why?
because it had to be on the other side of us deciding enough people going with it, choosing it basically. So
Choosing
by
it. Yep.
going by going with the COVID narrative
With
without
the
questioning
show.
is the same thing as saying yes, we choose slavery. That's
Yeah.
what it was designed for.
But enough of
It,
us didn't.
it was a choice point designed specifically. It had all of the elements, all of the information in it describing the choice, but we didn't look at it to see it that way. But it was a free will choice by believing in COVID and acting from it and letting that play out to its conclusion is the same thing as us saying to God, we choose to sever our connection to you and give everything to slavery, to the slave master. You know, this whole thing about Lucian fuel ultimately is our creative energy being harnessed by the one that fell in order to create a false reality. That's what would have happened, the false reality.
Yep.
And
Isn't that
That their
interesting?
generation needs to wake up to the same thing everyone does. That the way they've approached COVID is why it would have worked. Their thinking is how it would have worked had it
Oh,
not been met by enough people in the right way. The very way that they've put a lot of derision on is
yes.
why it didn't work. So they're going to have
Yep.
to see that,
See that?
all of it.
He's, oh, I hope he'll be okay.
Yeah, he will, because again, the advantage of being younger makes it less intense.
Sure. And so
And
many less years of that,
well,
of
that's what I'm
what
saying.
we're, yeah.
Their investment isn't as great as it would be in 20 years. And
Yep.
being right about it is not as good. See, it's why a lot of baby boomers are really having a hard time
Not
because
my mom.
they've had a big investment in this false narrative, and to turn around and go, oh well, I was wrong about all of it. The all of it they're wrong about is 40 years of life, whereas for them it's like two, three, four. So it's not as
I,
entrenched in them.
yeah,
They're still going
absolutely.
along
Yep.
with something they don't fully believe themselves yet because it's not entrenched too much. And they don't have the karmic debt to have, because what the karmic debt does is create a very powerful subconscious force that we want to react against. We don't want to go there because it's not just feeling bad when I was six. It's being hung, drawn, and quartered in the 1500s. It's being having my throat slit along a road in the Roman Empire, blah 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 blah. It's like the intensity of feeling going back through history of all the
Sure.
lives you lived
Sure.
in an unconscious body of feeling connected to those feelings you had when you were six. So
Yep.
the weight behind it is far greater.
Yep.
But when you don't have a connection directly through all those lifetimes on this planet, that's not there.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that
So
weight
there's a
is not
purity to
there.
how they go meet this process that is a lot harder, for instance, for let's say an academic Harvard lecturer, baby boomer who's full on into what they believe
Well,
in their health is based
well,
on. They're gonna have a way
well,
harder time.
Well, okay, so my mom, 82 this coming year, is not having a hard time with the truth because either she feels it or she's just watching me and you.
Hmm.
She cries every time she talks to you. But we're always I'm telling you because she feels your energy. She feels the truth and we all know she's in resistance too, we know. But I don't know if she's listening. Maybe if I shut up and listen, she'll be laughing.
Hi,
But
Sarah.
you, you
Sarah.
know that my father was a big pharma scientist for his entire career, and we often wonder, like, because I'm his daughter, clearly, like, how would he have been with the pandemic? Like, I wonder if he would have been entrenched in the life he lived and grasping for his identity, or if he would have gone with the flow. I mean, obviously, we'll never know, I don't think. Maybe we will know. But my mom has had to watch my awakening ground zero,
Since
since
like
ground zero. And I don't, I didn't make her decide to agree with me, but she basically watched and agreed of her own volition. She
right.
chose not to do the jab. She chooses not to watch news. She chooses to see the programming in every single facet of life.
Oh,
I mean,
look,
she
totally.
has to listen to me make fun of television when we watch TV together and say, Mom, did you see that? Did you catch that? You get that programming? You got that
Yeah.
propaganda? I mean, but if were I not there, she'd be doing it in her mind anyway. She went along anyway. I just really wonder what my dad would do. I mean, he was a
Yeah.
big Harma for 50 years,
Yeah, right. And that's,
like your stepdad.
yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like I'm saying. And I mean, look, you can't generalize about any generation either. I mean, Papaji.
Mom says I'm listening. Oh shit. Just
Damn.
kidding.
No,
Kidding.
hey,
Damn it.
hello, Sarah.
Um,
That was Sarah. Yeah. Well, look, that's it. What I was going to say something, and it's just completely
Oh,
gone.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to show
You're
you
right.
that mom was on the call. But
Right.
mom,
Gone.
she just is letting out a howl downstairs laughing. So I was saying I just wonder what my dad would do. He was big Harma. Then I was talking about your stepdad, and then you were gonna say something. Maybe it's gone. Who knows?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was going to say like say Papaji, Gangaji, the Boomer generation. It's Byron Katie,
Oh my
Bert
goodness,
Hellinger.
yes.
So the conduits for the transition are as much in their generation as ours or any other generation
Yep,
as well. Um, it's really about the time in history that each generation was born into as well. That's a big factor,
yep.
and the age the individual person is at whilst this transition plays out. And that was all set up by design too. These three generations alive right now was set up in a certain astrological way, and there's a lot of dynamics between the three generations that was designed to meet this transition in the right way.
Wow, the astrology, man. We're gonna have to do
Oh,
a
it's
show
mind
on
blowing.
the astrology is mind blowing. I understand none of it.
But the fact that the deliberate intent that it shows you, the scale of that deliberate intent, the time frame,
Yes, it's
the
beautiful.
more you look at it, the more wow. Like not only do I not have to worry about anything, like let's just sit back and appreciate it.
Oh my God, like Anne sent that the what was that? Geometric, it was 5 days ago or something like that. Like
Oh,
that was
the
so beautiful.
the Metatron's cube,
It
the
was like
six
Metatron's
pointed star.
cube, but it was like those pictures of where
Yes,
everything is
six
on the
pointed star.
it was
Star of
brilliant.
David. Star of David, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was amazing.
Mm.
Amazing. And Lori, he knows astrology quite well, and he listens to Adrian Elise, and he used to share the pictures like like all the lines would be in that circle, all the lines would be like in the corner, and he'd go, yeah, this is how I feel today. But then on a day when you felt lighter and joyful or whatever, they look like that Metatron's cube. Like it's
Yeah, perfect.
so amazing how the artful
Mm.
interpretation of the stars and their locations really absolutely affect your being.
Well, they
So
can give you
crazy.
an awareness of what you're experiencing that you need to be able to sort of fully appreciate what you're experiencing and what
Yeah.
it isn't. What it is, that's the great thing about astrology is it gives you a living map of the moment you're in, just to bring a perspective that you're asking what's the truth. Well, it's a way to get another perspective that's outside your own to see what you're experiencing and give you a whole different framework or context
Totally.
so that you can start to kind of get clear about the value of what you're living through as not just a random like series of events designed to screw with you.
It
That
shows
there's
you it's
actually,
so much bigger than you.
yeah, so
It's go on,
there's a
go on.
conscious intention behind what's coming to you,
Yes.
and you connect with that with a conscious intention of what you're co-creating, and that's the reality. And anything in your belief system that doesn't match that, it gives you the information you need to counter that as well. When you don't need to know about astrology, like I'm no expert on astrology either. I just knew that there was a reality to it, so I
Yes.
interacted with it at the level I was able to take in at the time. So I
Hmm.
didn't need to understand all of the astrology at the time. I would use keywords, like I would feel what I'm feeling. I got my birth chart and I read some key parts about that, which just gives you a bit of an indication of the subconscious layers that you're coming from and the balance point between certain key elements in your persona that are good to focus on, and then the astrology of the time you're in. So there
Yeah.
you can get some understanding. Oh, okay, my north node is in a certain sign, so therefore I've got to watch If I feel like I'm going into X, Y, and Z quality, I know I'm a bit off track. So
Yeah.
the way to come back into North Node being the direction you need to move to in life, South Node representing your comfort zone. What you need to deal with to make your life purpose come together often contains some blocks and obstacles you don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So that will be mapped out in that part of your chart, North
Yeah.
Node. So
Yeah.
there'll be keywords. Guard against being judgmental, critical, cold, detached.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're justifying yourself in a certain situation and that's a way you could interpret what you're saying, then look at the opposite because that's probably got more value.
Yeah.
So it gives you a specific
Yes.
way of meeting discomfort zones.
Yep.
Like sometimes, oh, this doesn't resonate for me. You're coming from the completely wrong point of view. The self that it doesn't resonate for you with is the one that you need to move away from, not towards. But you don't know that. You need a way to get out of your head. And
Yeah.
astrology can give you that. So can numerology, so can tarot. They're like I
Yes.
said, the time having a feminine and a masculine principle aspect. So that God told me that mathematics is the language of the universe. So physics, mathematics, chemistry, biology, the sciences are an expression of the left brain version of that, and they have a lot of value. But the divination arts are the right brain version of mathematics expressing itself. Because like that, but like the chart
Yep.
with the Metatron's cube, which was the astrology currently being active,
Right.
those planets form, there are lines joined certain angles, let's say a
Mm-hmm.
trine, something called a trine, which is one side of a triangle. Planet A is in a certain degree away from planet B, that equals a trine. So the line you draw is that. Now there's another one over here which is also in trine with that. So there's another one. Now there's this planet is in trine with that one. So there's a grand trine, a triangle, full triangle
Yep. Yep.
that creates an image. So it's sacred geometry visually. So you can see these pictures sometimes form in my birth chart as a kite. It literally looks like a kite. It's a grand
Yes.
triangle with
Yep.
a couple of other things going on. There's all sorts of
Yeah,
ways mathematics
Satara
expresses it.
says astrology is a map of this holographic reality, like mathematical codes, like
Mhm.
algorithm, energy,
Mhm.
map
Mhm.
of a live hologram.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. A living hologram. Yes.
So
So you can read
cool.
that and work with it, and it can help you get away from, like I said, the comfort zone that feels right, but is really not, and into the discomfort zone that feels wrong, but really is right.
Yep.
Because I
Yep.
mean, how do you meet life on that level? It's tough.
Well, and when you look at the astrology, well, they have those jokes where stop blaming the planets for your shitty behavior. But on the flip side of that, on the flip side of that, the planets, the alignments, the mythology, for lack of a better word, the meaning can relieve you of some
Um,
of the
Even
responsibility, pressure,
yeah,
like all of that.
that's
So
it. I
it's
mean, light is awareness, darkness is ignorance, lack of awareness. So it just helps you become more aware of what you're seeing in front of you, what you're experiencing, and how to move with it in a way that works.
yep, 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 yep. I'm just telling everybody in the chats to follow Amanda Scarcella on Instagram because
Yeah, good dude.
she's just about one of my favorite astrologers. That woman is no bullshit. She
Amanda,
she
yeah. Can we put
knows
a
what
link to
she's
her?
doing.
Can we put a link to her in the
Well,
chat?
I could probably do her. I gave them her name. I don't know, Scarcella. Let's see. Let's see if this works. Share, copy, link. She's just copy URL. Let's see if this works for everybody, shall
How do you
we?
spell
Scarcella?
C?
S
Oh
S
yeah,
C. Yeah.
ARCELLA.
Yeah, YouTube doesn't do links. Yeah, SCARCELLA. Yep. YouTube doesn't do links, but I put one in there and I gave her a name. Mike just said, because I said, stop blaming the planets for your shitty behavior. Mike just said, gotta blame something. He's so funny. Astrology is water is blood, Eliza says. Oh,
Who knew?
Eliza's loving it. Eliza's so smart on the chats, and she knows something about everything. You'd love
Yeah,
Eliza.
yeah, great.
Maybe you'll be at Confluence in Texas
Mm.
this coming April. You never know, Gareth.
Maybe
If you
something's
go
going
to
on.
Confluence in Texas this year, you'd meet like half the people on this call.
Something's. Well,
They're my tribe.
I think something's going on there. Something's
Yeah.
happening. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just going with it, but I think that's
Um,
in the end that has to happen because
yes, absolutely. One of these days, Eliza blames the planets for their shitty behavior. She's so funny. Um, who doesn't see it? Roseanne. Roseanne, I'll get you on Instagram if you remind me. I'll share. She's amazing. On another call, because we've gone well over 2.5 hours. I do want to talk giants, like literal giants, and I do
right.
want to touch on dinosaurs with you again. I know this stuff doesn't matter. I'm just so curious because I think I was talking with Sam. I'm like, we never talked about Gareth and I never talked about it before, and I've written off dinosaurs, and Gareth says they're real, and I don't know if I believe they're real, but Gareth says they are. So it was this whole thing. But then Sam was very neutral, lovingly neutral. She says, well, if they are, they just aren't what we've been told they are.
Yes.
And
Now
and
that's a
I'm
good way
like,
to look at
okay, I'll go with that, Sam.
it. I might have to.
We can go. We don't have to
Yeah.
do that now. I'm tired. Are you kidding me? Good
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
Irene.
I
Good
think we've
night.
hit the limit, haven't we,
I've hit the
everyone?
ceiling. There's no ceiling in our world, but I'm tired.
I hope we. Well, I mean, if anyone's got anything they want to add or ask, just chuck it in.
Everyone knows they can text me too, because that's what Lindsay did with her question about the false light and everything. You know, the
Yeah.
false light, like, don't go to the light, it's a trap.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows better. She knows. She just wanted to hear Gareth's take on it. Um,
There is
Dino.
zero point.
Eliza just said Dino Tardia.
Dino Tardia.
Mike says, what if they were really, really, really tiny?
Oh no, that would be weird.
Oh my
Like a
God. And Stacy
brontosaurus.
says my favorite dino is the thesaurus. Oh, Satara says she knows a guy who saw dinosaurs on magic mushrooms. Well, they
Ooh,
have all those pictures from like the 1800s when, cameras became a thing in the early 1900s of people with their pet dragons. I mean, okay, granted, I know everything can be made in AI or made in Photoshop or whatever, but also I'm
I'm
all
going.
for the dragons and I'm all for them returning. But I wouldn't mind going into more on dinosaurs if you have anything to say. Because sometimes, like when I'm reading Only Planet, people are a little too concerned about climate agenda. And granted, that was probably in the 80s when it was just being pushed at everyone. But Tom entertained it. And I know we need to be more respectful and thoughtful and everything with our world, our earth and everything and our resources and everything, but I still believe it's strongly an agenda. And yeah, I had something else and I lost it. So I'm clearly tired. But anyway, let's go to bed. Or whatever. You're not going to bed. What is it?
Yeah,
It's
we
like,
can look at all that. Yeah,
yeah,
we'll keep.
okay. Okay.
So hold us to it, guys. In the chat.
Dragons are
Just
totally real. Absolutely real. Everyone is saying they're real. Sam's even saying unicorns are real. Elementals, real. Yep, I'm totally with her. Absolutely. Fucking full on. Dolores Cannon says if you can imagine it, it exists
it's,
on a
it,
dimension somewhere.
yes, you totally.
Unicorn.
Yeah.
I want unicorns to exist on my dimension.
An infinite field of potentiality
Yep.
as
Okay.
the universe comes.
I keep us going. I'm sorry, everybody. I keep getting us going. All right. I love you, Gareth.
Love you, Katie. Love you, everyone. Thanks
I
for
love everyone.
joining.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Thanks.
ask next time. Pin us down to these
Yeah.
conversations for the next call, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Love
we
you.
can
Love you.
take it we'll just run with it.
Oh, Liza, I love you too. Okay. I'm the queen, you the queen of transmutine. She's so funny. All right. Love you. Bye.
All right, see ya.
Bye. You're the host. You end this shit.